Thank you. Good morning, one and all who are there for this virtual webinar, which is being organized by the Committee for Members in Industry and Business. I, Durgesh Kabra, the chairman of this committee, welcomes you all to this webinar, which is an initiative taken by CMIB this year, that we will be having 2 webinars every month, which is relevant to the subject and to the members who are working in the industry and business. Today, we are dealing with the SME Finance, where Ayush Gupta will be moderating the session, and Shiv Bhagwan Asawa, as well as Mr. Sunil Pandey, would be dealing with the subject that what are the nuances are there in the SME Finance, what are the challenges are there, and how what other benefits are there for SME Finance, SME units. Then using those benefits, how SMEs can grow and become big one. This is our target. But before that, let me narrate some of the activities of the Committee for Members in Industry and Business. The Committee for Members in Industry and Business is a committee which is known as the non-standing committee of 35 odd committee of the Institute of Chartered Accountant of India, which is dedicated to the service to the members who are working in industry and business, as well as in the chartered accountant firms also. If anybody is there in the service, we are trying to build the skill set of all young chartered accountants, senior chartered accountants, by having various programs and various other activities. So this is what I thought to begin with, all of you, that this is a committee which is catering to the 260,000 chartered accountants of India who are into this line. And today, 8 out of 10 young chartered accountants are joining the industries. So numbers are increasing. We wish that the connectivity remains with the chartered accountants who are there in the industry and business. And that is why we are having various activities. First and foremost is the campus placement program, where we wish that the chartered accountants who are already there in the service at a higher level, CFO and CEO, they participate in the campus of the ICI. They hire the chartered accountant who are freshly qualified, newly qualified into their organization. As I feel, and even the corporate world feel, that the chartered accountants are the best suited person for the post of CFO and in time to come CEO too. So this is what as my request to all chartered accountants who are at the higher position in their organization. And this is being done by twice in a year. The second important event which comes in the mind is the Career Accent, which is for the which is again a placement program for chartered accountants who are into the service already and having the experience. So anybody who is having experience above 1 year can be a part of this. We already had a Career Accent program. It was a successful program. Around 500 people have changed the job, and good number of requirements were there, but 500 approximately have changed the job. And this is helping them to grow in a better way. The third initiative which is there is of the women placement program, who have already chartered accountant, but due to some or other reason, there is a break in the professional services of the woman chartered accountant. And if now they wish to have work from home, flexi hours working, as well as the part-time working or so, then we are having this placement program for those kind of women chartered accountants who are member of our institute. The third important thing comes is the 40 under 40 CA Business Leader Awards, where from last year, we have started recognizing and awarding young talent who are chartered accountants and doing exceedingly well in their organization, and they are under the age of 40. The nominations are already launched, and I request all the members to circulate among their friends that they can participate into this award for their recognition at India level by ICAI. The next thing comes with the ICAI award, main award, where we recognize the contribution of the CFO conglomerates and leaders in the industry and service, as well as Business Leadership Award, which is for the CEO of the conglomerates, the large companies, and also some special category awards are there where we are giving it to the chartered accountant fraternity. And beside this, one more initiative I would like to say is known as Chartered Accountants, the Growth Gear. I do not know how many of you are viewing this program, which is being telecasted on G Business on every alternate Sunday at 11:22 a.m. My humble request to you that these are the stories of the successful chartered accountants who are either entrepreneur, who are the CEO, who are the managing director or the chairman of the company, and has reached to the pinnacle of that position where they are working and contributing to the growth of economy, contributing to the growth of organization. So these are the things which has been taken care by the committee this year. Beside this, initiative which has been taken here this year is that we are coming out with the various publications on the industrial growth in the various states. We have already released the publications for Bengal and for Haryana. In pipeline is Tamil Nadu and Uttar Pradesh very soon, and thereafter Maharashtra and Rajasthan too. So what kind of investment opportunities are there? Which industries are working well into these states? So publications with respect to that and what kind of benefits are available in these states. A publication with respect to that is being already released, and these four are in the pipeline, which is going to be released soon. So these are the various initiatives I thought I must just bring to your knowledge, and I request all of you to be a part of various activities of these committee for members in industry and business. So you, even after working with the organization, remain connected with the alma mater. With these words, I thank you all once again for joining this webinar on the Saturday morning. And I also welcome Sanjeev Pandeyji, who is the another speakers of the day for this virtual webinar. Thank you very much for giving me patient listening, and looking forward a wonderful deliberations by Shivagwan Asavaji and Sanjeev Pandeyji, and a moderation by Ayush Guptaji. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Durgesh Kabraji. You were just listening to Durgesh Kabraji, who is the chairman of CMIB. Uh, his kind words have introduced us about all the things that the CNI and B is doing for us as a member. Now I would like to introduce to our first speaker of the day on the topic of SME finance that we are having today. Shri Shiv Bhagwan Asavaji. He's a fellow chartered accountant from May 1994 batch. He's also done his graduation from Kolkata University in BCom honors. He has been involved in the industry since like 28 plus years. He has also completed his MBA from IIM Kolkata in 2009. His mainly focused areas of work is in the area of project appraisals, financial consultancies, raising of funds from debts and equities. His main expertise also include valuation and corporate restructuring, project encompassing developing of strategies, solicitation of interest, business valuation, financial analysis, and due diligence. He has also been working with the institute, and he was holding as a position in as a chairman from Thane branch in 2021 and 22. He has actively been involved with Thane branch WIRC in past. We are truly honored to have Mr. CA Shiv Bhagwan Asavaji today with us. He is going to enlighten us on the topic of how to prepare dynamic project financing in just 20 minutes. Seems to be a tougher one, but over to you, Shiv Bhagwan Dasji. Thank you.
Uh, so thank you, Mr. Ayush Gupta. Thank you, Durgeshji Kabra, for giving me this opportunity. And let me first share my screen, and then we can go directly to my presentation. I believe I have got approximately 1.5 hours. Am I right,
Yep.
Ayushji?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
If I am right, my PPT is on the screen. Am I right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And now Excel sheet is on the screen.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. Let me start. Thank you all participants, and I'll be dealing with how can you prepare in quick time dynamic and multi-purpose project report for your organization, or you may be acting as a consultant to any industry, or you may be into financial services, and this will help you out. And if you are into practice, then uh, you can have a good amount of professional fees by quickly preparing this kind of project financials. Today, if you are applying for any kind of loan, whether it is Mudra or CGTMAC, smaller loan or bigger loan, you need to submit your project report. And I'll be dealing, since time is short, I'll be dealing with financials part, and there are a lot many theoretical part uh, that is, of course, depending on loan size and amount of loan you are looking for. You have to give much more details, like brief background of the industry, promoters, and all those things. And that is very what happens. These are the things which don't require basic input from your side, because you need to prepare project financials, and along with this, you can attach all those things. What I will do, I will show you a live demo on a Excel sheet or spreadsheet, how fast you can prepare multi-purpose and dynamic project financials, and whatever changes you want to do, you can do it in a push of a button. All those project financials parameter automatically will get changed, and your balance sheet will be tally. So I will go ahead with a step-by-step guide in that, and I will prepare live project financials in front of you. Before I start, standard, you must be, those who are into practice must familiar with this word called disclaimer. Nowadays, this is very important part of any services provided by chartered accountant. You must give suitable disclaimer. So here is my disclaimer. I am not reading it out. Now, how to prepare project financial? There are 13 steps by which you can complete entire project financials in roughly around 30 minutes. So first working is, there are n number of tables which I will show you in live demo in Excel sheet. First step is complete the cost of project except margin money for working capital, means of finance, contingency. That means हमारा पहला स्टेप में हम ये 3 टेबल कंप्लीट करेंगे, और ये 3 टेबल कंप्लीट करेंगे. लेट मी गो टू माय एक्सेल शीट. आई विल शो हाउ टू कंप्लीट दिस 3 tables. This is my Excel sheet. Say these are details. I am not going into details. Let me change whatever way I can change. Say land and site development is, let's say, 5 crore. I will changing this. Let's say 5 crores. Building and civil work is 10 crores. And plant and machinery, say, 18 crores. Miscellaneous fixed assets, say, 2 crore. As I said, leave aside this working capital margin money YOLO mark in first step. I will complete it later on. Then provision for contingency. Why is it important? See, if you are designing any project report, if you are preparing any project report for your client or for your employer, you must provide for provision for contingency. What happens if you come across any sanction letter? You will see that once you submit a project report, if you decide cost of project, there will be a condition in your bank sanction letter that any overrun to the project cost should be borne by the promoters. तो थोड़ा सा आपको सेफगार्ड करने के लिए प्रोविजन फॉर कंटिजेंसी रखना चाहिए, so that if there is any incremental project cost or there is any increase in project cost, that can be financed from the bank. That's why you must provide for contingency. And what will be the contingency? It depends on your type of project, type of asset you are putting into project cost. But 5% is a standard contingency provision. Suppose if you are building, say, factory land and building, factory building, there may be incremental cement cost, or there may be hike in steel prices. Your cost may short up. That's why, to protect your promoter or protect your client, you must provide for contingency. And pre-operative expenses is that your interest and other overheads you incurred during gestation period, initiation of project till trial run, whatever expenses you incurred, you provide as a pre-operative expenses. So in our case, this is the project cost. Means of finance, what could be means of finance? See, approximately 70-75% of your hardcore asset is financed by bank. They will not finance your working capital margin, but rest of the assets, they can always go up to 75%. Take example that our means of finance will be, say, 75% of plant and machinery and 60% of land and building. So accordingly, we can change the, here it is 75 both. Let me make 60%. Land and building, I have made 60%. So this is my term loan portion. See, in means of finance, you see one very important column is unsecured or quasi-equity. If it is, I'm marking yellow, unsecured, this is very important. While designing any loan structure, you must provide for unsecured loan or quasi-equity. Some part of promoter's contribution should come by way of unsecured loan or quasi-equity. Why it should come, let me explain you. You may be aware of. Still, let me explain you. Whether it is partnership firm or private limited company, पार्टनरशिप फर्म में भी आप अनसिक्योर्ड लोन फ्रॉम पार्टनर्स एंड रिलेटिव्स आप दिखा सकते हो. अगर प्राइवेट लिमिटेड कंपनी है या लिमिटेड कंपनी और एनी अदर स्ट्रक्चर, यू मस्ट show some portion of promoters contribution by of unsecured loan or quasi equity, and bankers generally allow. They will not allow कि भाई entire promoters contribution is coming by way of unsecured loan, but 25-40% of promoters contribution can always come from by way of unsecured loan. There are two dual benefits of unsecured loan or quasi equity. Suppose your client or your owner is for setting up a project, and you have given some projections. Say you have given a projection that first year you will earn a profit of 2 crores and you will maintain a debt equity of 2:1. But suppose your project goes off well, and instead of earning 2 crore, you have earned, say, 3 crores. Now this 1 crore extra earning, because you are maintaining all those ratios, 1 crore extra earning, if you want to take back from the project for investment in some other business, if you want to withdraw, then there are two options. One option is that you can give, one option is taxable, other option is non-taxable. One taxable is that you can give hike in director's remuneration or partner's remuneration, and another is declaring dividend. But in both these options, whatever amount you are taking back is again taxable, whether it is director's remuneration or partner's remuneration or dividend, it is taxable in the hands of promoters. So what is the best way to withdraw excess money invested in business? The best way that if you show some portion by your quasi equity, you can always withdraw, and this withdrawal there will be no tax. That's why I always suggest that there will be some portion of your promoter's contribution should be by your quasi equity. See, in this case, I have said that this is dynamic project. Whatever changes is happening, say cost of project now 46.34. You see, means of finance is again 46.34. Automatically, it will get changed. Suppose I change this term loan structure, instead of land building 60%, let me make it is 65%. Say, do the correction. You see, the means of finance will automatically changed, and cost of projects and means of finance will be tallied. Now, coming to third table, I said that there should be some portion by your contingency. Contingency should be provided for those assets to be built up over a period of time. Those assets which is already acquired, say in this case, let assume land is already acquired by the promoters. There is a fixed cost of 3 crore. Now there is no contingency left. So you cannot provide for contingency for land cost. बट डेवलपमेंट कॉस्ट 2 करोड़ जो आपको गेस्टेशन पीरियड के दौरान इनकर करना है, उसमें चेंजेस आ सकते हैं. व्हाट आई हैव डन, आई हैव पुटेड 5% एज कंटिजेंसी. इवन इन प्लांट एंड मशीनरी, लेट्स चेंज इट. See, now it is 2.24 is the contingency. If I change to say plant and machinery, again if I put 5%, so my contingency figure got changed 1.70. You see, cost of projects, it is already 1.70. So that's why I called this is dynamic project report, so that whatever changes you made automatically get changed everywhere. So project cost. Hello, I think some disturbance.
Yeah, we can hear you. I think the
The
Excel
Excel
has.
sheet is getting disturbed. Let some maybe poor internet connection. 1 second, it will be all right within a moment. So let me go on. Excel sheet is now. तो प्रोविजन फॉर कंटीजेंसी चेंज हो गया, आपका कॉस्ट ऑफ प्रोजेक्ट चेंज हो गया, ऑटोमेटिकली मींस ऑफ फाइनेंस चेंज हो गया. कुछ जादू नहीं है इसमें, सिंपल है कि आपने सारी चीजों को फॉर्मूला से लिंक कर दिया है, सो दैट एनीथिंग गेट चेंज ऑटोमेटिकली, एवरीथिंग विल गेट चेंज. तो ये फर्स्ट स्टेप में हमने 3 टेबल बना लिया है. लेट मी गो टू माय पीपीटी एंड सी व्हाट इज माय सेकंड स्टेप. Second step is complete the production and sales statement. You arrived at sales figure. Let's assume that we will be producing product A and product B. And let me go to Excel sheet. I will not showing the what are assumption, but broadly how you can prepare a production sales statement. We can go. Let me go to this Excel sheet, and I have prepared one production and sales statement. This is my production system. लेट एज्यूम एक का कैपेसिटी 18 लाख लीटर है और बी का कैपेसिटी 24 लाख लीटर है, इंस्टॉल कैपेसिटी. तो 18 लाख लीटर लिख लिया, 24 लाख लीटर लिख लिया. नंबर ऑफ वर्किंग डेज इज 360, नंबर ऑफ शिफ्ट्स में भी 3. एंड तो अपना प्रोडक्शन और कैपेसिटी यूटिलाइजेशन से 55, 65 एंड 75. फर्स्ट ईयर योर कैपेसिटी यूटिलाइजेशन विल बी 55, सेकंड ईयर 65 एंड थर्ड ईयर 75. बेस्ड ऑन दैट you can always come at estimated annual production. It is installed capacity multiplied by capacity utilization divided by 360 multiplied by whatever days. If you say in first year, if you are working for 6 months, then it becomes 180 days or maybe 150 days. Monthly working per month is 25, then it will be 150. If it is 30, so 180. So you arrived at estimated annual production. Let's say selling price of A is 500 and B is 600. So annual production multiplied by 500 and 600, you come at estimated sales. तो ये प्रोडक्शन एंड सेल्स स्टेटमेंट हो गया. प्रोडक्ट कुड बी ए, बी, प्रोडक्ट कुड बी 4, प्रोडक्ट कुड बी 3, प्रोडक्ट कुड बी 6. Whatever number of products, you can prepare this kind of sheet, and for a different type of product, maybe different capacity utilization, you can put those. But basic is this kind of one statement you need to prepare, so that you can arrive at what will be your estimated annual sales. In this case, my estimated annual sales first year is 128. 152 and 175 third year. How many years this production and sales statement should be prepared? I suggest generally it is 3 years, but you have to prepare for number of years where your capacity utilization get matured. See, अगर इस प्रोजेक्ट में ऐसा होता था कि भी फर्स्ट ईयर 50, सेकेंड ईयर 60, थर्ड ईयर 70, फोर्थ ईयर 80 एंड फिफ्थ ईयर 90, तो आपको 5 साल का ये प्रोडक्शन एंड सेल स्टेटमेंट बनाना चाहिए। ये अपने इन केस में अपने 3 साल का बनाया है। वी अराइव्ड एट व्हाट विल बी एनुअल सेल्स एंड दिस फिगर विल गो टू प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस अकाउंट स्टेटमेंट। इन प्रोजेक्ट टर्मिनोलॉजी इट इज कॉल्ड वर्किंग रिजल्ट्स। तो देखिए अभी वर्किंग रिजल्ट्स हमने बना लिया है, उस मतलब बना के रखा है, उसमें ये फिगर गया कि नहीं गया, एस्टिमेट्स ऑफ वर्किंग रिजल्ट्स, ये फिगर यहाँ पर ऑटोमेटिकली जो वहां था कॉपी करके फॉर्मूला लिंक कर दिया तो यहाँ आ गया। अभी सपोज अपन प्रोडक्शन यूटिलाइजेशन चेंज कर देते हैं। व्हाई आई सेड in the beginning that this project report will be dynamics. Let's say it is 60% first year, 70% second year, 80% third year. So your sales figure automatically get changed. Now instead of 120, it is 140, 163 and 187. You see my working results figure will also get automatically changed. ये working range में sales जो है वो automatically change हो गया है। Now go to PPT. What is my third step? Complete the cost of production sheet. Cost of production sheet is basically nothing but your, see, in old days we used to prepare manufacturing account and profit and loss account. In case of trading concern, trading account and profit and loss account. So production sheet is nothing but it's a manufacturing of cost. Manufacturing account you are aware of. All direct overhead should come over here. All direct costs should come over here. Let me prepare this production estimated cost of production. For paucity of time, certain things I have already done. I can explain, and these are things Excel sheet probably I will be sharing with the institute, and probably they will share it with you. And if you have any difficulty, I will share my mobile number. You can WhatsApp me. I can share this Excel sheet with you. There is absolutely no problem. Most probably CMI section will also, CMIB will also share after my presentation this Excel sheet with you. See, I have said it is dynamic. See, where I have changed the cost, capacity utilization 60, 70, 80, automatically it got changed over here, estimated cost of. Let's assume raw material प्रोडक्शन ए के लिए 350 रुपया लगेगा, प्रोडक्शन बी के लिए 450 लगेगा। तो मैंने क्या किया, एस्टिमेटेड एनुअल प्रोडक्शन जो प्रोडक्शन एंड सेल्स स्टेटमेंट में मैंने बनाया था, लेट मी शो इट टू यू अगेन। दिस इज माय एनुअल प्रोडक्शन, एस्टिमेटेड एनुअल प्रोडक्शन। तो ए के लिए 350 रुपया और बी के लिए 450 रुपया लगेगा। ये मेरा एजम्पशन है जो डेटा मेरे को क्लाइंट ने दिया है। तो मैंने उसके बेसिस पे देखिए यहाँ पर एस्टिमेटेड कॉस्ट ऑफ प्रोडक्शन एक से 350 से मल्टीप्लाई किया, बी से 450 से मल्टीप्लाई किया, डिवाइडेड बाय करोड़, सो दैट वी गेट फिगर इन करोड़। तो ये ए का रॉ मटेरियल कॉस्ट हो गया, ये फर्स्ट ईयर, सेकेंड ईयर एंड थर्ड ईयर। सिंपल है, एस्टिमेटेड एनुअल प्रोडक्शन मल्टीप्लाइड बाय रॉ मटेरियल कॉस्ट पर यूनिट। इफ इट इज लीटर तो रॉ मटेरियल कॉस्ट पर लीटर। फिर स्टोर्स एंड स्पेयर्स, लेट एज्यूम that it will be 50 rupees for both A and B. तो हमने क्या किया, A and B के प्रोडक्शन को जोड़ दिया फिगर और 50 से मल्टीप्लाई कर दिया, and we arrived at stores, spares and consumables for first year, second year and third year. Let assume packing material will be say 10 rupees per liter for both A and B. तो हमने A and B के लिए 10 rupees लीटर से मल्टीप्लाई कर दिया है। तो अपन रॉ मटेरियल, स्टोर स्पेयर्स, कंज्यूमेबल्स एंड पैकिंग मटेरियल का कॉस्ट फर्स्ट ईयर, सेकेंड ईयर, थर्ड ईयर आ गया अपने पास। नाउ व्हाट विल बी डायरेक्ट कॉस्ट? वन विल बी पावर, फ्यूल, वाटर। इन माय केस आई हैव एज्यूम्ड दैट फर्स्ट ईयर 10 लाख रुपया पर मंथ लगेगा, सेकेंड ईयर 10% इंक्रीमेंट दिया। जनरली पावर कॉस्ट doesn't vary depending on, it is directly not correlated with your annual production. Certain portion incremental cost will be little less. So I have not linked to it annual production, but what I have assumed that there will be increment of 10% going forward. तो मैंने कैपेसिटी यूटिलाइजेशन से एनुअल प्रोडक्शन 50 से 60% हो गया, 20% जंप है, तो देर इज नो जंप, 20% जंप ऑफ पावर फ्यूल एंड यूटिलिटी कॉस्ट। बट ध्यान रखना चाहिए कि जो भी इंपॉर्टेंट आपके कॉस्ट है उसके पीछे आपके वर्किंग्स होने चाहिए, सो दैट वंस यू प्रेजेंट टू द बैंकर, बैंकर शुड बी कम टू नो हाउ यू अराइव दैट पावर फ्यूल वाटर कॉस्ट। कुछ कुछ इंडस्ट्री में स्टैंडर्ड है, सपोज इफ यू आर पुटिंग अप ए से टेक्सचराइजिंग यूनिट और ट्विस्टिंग यूनिट, जहां स्टैंडर्ड है कि भाई 2 रुपया पर किलो आपको कॉस्ट आएगा, आप 2 रुपया किलो ले लेते हो, बैंकर विल नॉट टेक ऑब्जेक्शन, दे विल गो विथ स्टैंडर्ड प्रैक्टिस। बट एनीवे, अगर पावर फ्यूल यूटिलिटी मतलब पावर फ्यूल एंड वाटर का कॉस्ट अगर एक डेफिनाइट है और एक की फैक्टर है, तो यू मस्ट प्रोवाइड वर्किंग्स बिहाइंड दैट, एंड यू मस्ट put that as a assumption how you have arrived at power fuel. Basically, I mean to say, once you present your project report for financing from banker should be aware of what are those cost component and how you arrive that. तो ये पावर फ्यूल हो गया। उसके बाद क्या हो सकता है, डायरेक्ट लेबर हो सकता है। इन माई केस आई हैव एज्यूम दैट 50 लेबर लगेंगे, 10,000 रुपीज पर मंथ, और 13 मंथ का 12 महीना प्लस 1 मंथ बोनस। बेस्ड ऑन दैट आई हैव अराइव्ड एट व्हाट विल बी माई लेबर एंड वेजेस बिल। तो ये मेरा वर्कर्स हो गया। एंड देन 10% इंक्रीमेंट दे दिया, स्टैंडर्ड इंक्रीमेंट होता ही है। एंड देन फैक्ट्री स्टाफ मीन सुपरवाइजरी स्टाफ, तो हमने एज्यूम किया 5 सुपरवाइजरी स्टाफ लगेगा, जिसको हम 13,000 देंगे। एंड बेस्ड ऑन दैट आई हैव अराइव्ड एट व्हाट विल बी माय सुपरवाइजर कॉस्ट फैक्ट्री स्टाफ। डीजे हो गया डायरेक्ट लेबर ओवरहेड। उसके अलावा डायरेक्ट लेबर ओवरहेड क्या हो सकता है, एक इंश्योरेंस एंड टैक्सेस आएगा, एक अदर फैक्ट्री ओवरहेड्स आएगा। सिर्फ फैक्ट्री के अंदर जो भी अदर डायरेक्ट ओवरहेड हो सकता है, एक दीज आर ऑल एजम्पशंस। तो हमने एज्यूम किया है कि भाई इस काइंड ऑफ प्रोजेक्ट में 9 लाख रुपए का इंश्योरेंस लगेगा। अभी देखिए, मैंने फर्स्ट सेकेंड एंड थर्ड ईयर ऑलमोस्ट सेम इंश्योरेंस कॉस्ट रखा है। जनरली जो इंश्योरेंस लेते हैं फैक्ट्री बिल्डिंग और फैक्ट्री के प्लांट एंड मशीनरी के लिए, पहला 3-4 साल कुछ इंश्योरेंस में कोई फिगर में कोई बहुत ज्यादा चेंजेस नहीं आते। इनफैक्ट डे बाय डे इट विल बी रिड्यूसिंग, बट फॉर आवर this working we have assumed that all 3 years insurance cost will be almost same. Then other factory overheads I have assumed that पहला साल 7 लाख रुपया पर मंथ लगेगा, सेकेंड ईयर 8 लाख रुपया लगेगा, एंड थर्ड ईयर 9 लाख रुपया लगेगा। These are all assumptions. You may have different assumptions. Based on that, you can prepare those kind of things. Other factory overheads कम भी हो सकता है, ज्यादा भी हो सकता है। Whatever way, you have to put those other factory overheads, and based on after working all those things, you get what will be your cost of production. As I said earlier, ये 3 साल का बनाना चाहिए कि 5 साल का बनाना चाहिए, डिपेंड्स ऑन where your production capacity utilization get matured, मतलब उससे ज्यादा आपका capacity utilization होगा नहीं। Based on that, you have to prepare sheet for number of years. अगर 3 साल का है तो 3 साल, 5 साल का है तो 5 साल। और उसके बाद आपको एक एजम्पशन क्या लेना है, फोर्थ ईयर ऑनवर्ड से यू एज्यूम दैट देयर विल बी इन्फ्लेशनरी कॉस्ट। तो आपका कॉस्ट ऑफ प्रोडक्शन हर साल 2-2% या 5-5% से बढ़ जाएगा। कोई बात नहीं, कॉस्ट ऑफ प्रोडक्शन जैसे चौथा 5वां साल में बढ़ेगा, तो आपको उस हिसाब से सेल्स का प्राइस भी इन्फ्लेटरी कॉम्पेंसेटिंग प्राइस इंक्रीमेंट विल बी देयर इन सेल्स। तो आप सेल्स का जो सेल्स फिगर है उसको भी उसी परसेंटेज से आप इंक्रीमेंटल सेल्स दिखाइए। नाउ गो टू माय पीपीटी, व्हाट विल बी माय थर्ड शीट। थर्ड इज कंप्लीट द वर्किंग रिजल्ट्स टिल सेल्स। सेल्स का फिगर देखिए, प्रोडक्शन एंड सेल्स स्टेटमेंट से लाया था, अब कॉस्ट ऑफ प्रोडक्शन का फिगर आ गया, एंड उसके बाद अपने को सेल्स तक का वर्किंग रिजल्ट्स। वर्किंग रिजल्ट्स इज नथिंग बट टिपिकल प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस अकाउंट। तो लेट मी गो टू द एक्सेल शीट। ये कॉस्ट ऑफ प्रोडक्शन आ गया, इसको मैंने वर्किंग रिजल्ट्स के शीट बाजू में ही बना के रखा है एकदम पास में। ये वर्किंग रिजल्ट्स, यही फिगर वहां से डायरेक्टली फॉर्मूला लिंक किया और यहाँ पर आ गया, मैंने रेड कलर कर दिया इसको। ये मेरा कॉस्ट ऑफ प्रोडक्शन। उसके बाद मैंने क्या किया, मैंने सोचा, मैंने एजम्पशन किया कि भाई हमारा कॉस्ट ऑफ प्रोडक्शन बिकॉज ऑफ इन्फ्लेशन 5-5% से बढ़ेगा, तो नेक्स्ट 4-5 ईयर्स मैंने 5-5% से कॉस्ट ऑफ प्रोडक्शन बढ़ा दिया। तो इसी के बेसिस पे हमने सेल्स में भी देखिए 187 था थर्ड ईयर, एज पर माय प्रोडक्शन सेल्स स्टेटमेंट आई हैव इंक्रीज दो सेल्स फिगर बाय 5-5%। जितने परसेंटेज से कॉस्ट ऑफ प्रोडक्शन बढ़ेगा उतने परसेंटेज से आप सेल्स का फिगर बढ़ा सकते हो। दीज आर ऑल एजम्पशंस। बट एनीवे दिस इज प्रैक्टिकल थिंग कि भाई अगर मेरा कॉस्ट बढ़ रहा है तो मेरा सेल्स प्राइस भी बढ़ेगा, ऑब्वियसली आई विल हैव बेटर रियलाइजेशन थ्रू सेल्स। नाउ इनडायरेक्ट ओवरहेड का पोर्शन आ गया। एक तो सैलरी आएगी जो आपके ऑफिस स्टाफ को देना है। इन दिस केस आई हैव एज्यूम दैट देयर विल बी सैलरी ऑफ से 5 lakhs पर मंथ। तो मैंने 10% इंक्रीमेंट देके ये सैलरी का फिगर कंप्लीट किया है। डायरेक्टर रेम्युनरेशन से लेट देयर आर 4 directors, यू आर गिविंग 4 lakhs पर मंथ एंड आई हैव गिवन इंक्रीमेंटल 10% एवरी ईयर। टेलीफोन, ऑफिस सप्लाई, स्टेशनरी, जो दुनिया भर के इनडायरेक्ट ओवरहेड है जो ऑफिस में आपके लगने वाले हैं, उसमें मैंने अज्यूम किया फर्स्ट ईयर 3 लाख और उसके बाद 10% इंक्रीमेंट। एंड बेस्ड ऑन दैट आई हैव अराइव्ड एट व्हाट विल बी माय टोटल एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव एक्सपेंसेस। नाउ लास्ट इनडायरेक्ट ओवरहेड इज सेलिंग एंड डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन। सेलिंग एंड डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन जनरली it is linked to its sales. In our case, I have assumed that 5% will be your selling and distribution cost. तो मैंने क्या किया, यहाँ पर सेल्स का फिगर आ गया, इससे 5% से मल्टीप्लाई कर दिया। आई हैव गॉट माई सेलिंग एंड डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन ओवरहेड। इट मे बी 2%, इट मे बी 1%, और इट मे बी 10%, डिपेंडिंग ऑन काइंड ऑफ प्रोजेक्ट रिपोर्ट और काइंड ऑफ इंडस्ट्री योर प्रोमोटर्स और योर एम्प्लॉयर डीलिंग। तो बेस्ड ऑन दैट यू हैव टू एज्यूम, एंड सेलिंग एंड डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन कॉस्ट आ गया। तो मेरा थर्ड स्टेप कंप्लीट हो गया। आई हैव कम अप टू सेल्स। नाउ लेट्स सी व्हाट इज माय फोर्थ स्टेप। वो स्टेप दी कंप्लीट टर्म लोन चार्ट एंड अराइव एट इंटरेस्ट एंड रिपेमेंट। लेट एज्यूम जितना भी हम टर्म लोन ले रहे हैं वो 1 साल का मोरेटोरियम के बाद 6 साल में हम रिपेमेंट कर देंगे। तो 7 साल का अपने को टर्म लोन चार्ट बनाना है। अभी मैंने फॉर वर्किंग एजम्पशन मैंने ये सोचा है कि हमारा इंस्टॉलमेंट क्वार्टरली रहेगा। बेस्ड ऑन दैट आई हैव प्रिपेयर्ड द टर्म लोन चार्ट। बेसिकली टर्म लोन चार्ट अगर मंथली इंस्टॉलमेंट है तो आप मंथली बनाइए, क्वार्टरली है तो क्वार्टरली बनाइए, एंड द वे बेसिकली यू हैव टू प्रिपेयर दिस काइंड ऑफ टर्म लोन चार्ट। तो मैं दिखाता हूं आपको मैंने टर्म लोन चार्ट कैसे बनाया। ये मैंने टर्म लोन चार्ट बनाया। टर्म लोन चार्ट में जो मेरा मीन्स ऑफ फाइनेंस है वहां से मैंने पिकअप किया व्हाट विल बी माय टर्म लोन कंपोनेंट। तो ये फर्स्ट ईयर वहां से आ गया 26.26.03 करोड़ विल बी माय टर्म लोन रिक्वायरमेंट। 9% इंटरेस्ट, तो फर्स्ट ईयर इंटरेस्ट कितना आएगा। एंड हमने फर्स्ट ईयर मोरेटोरियम रखा है, 1+6 years का लोन है। फर्स्ट ईयर हमने प्रिंसिपल रिपेमेंट 0 रखा है। एंड सेकेंड ईयर ऑनवर्ड्स हमने 6 साल का रिपेमेंट पीरियड लिया। डोर टू डोर 7 years हो गया, 6 साल का रिपेमेंट पीरियड, क्वार्टरली रिपेमेंट। बेस्ड ऑन दैट आई कैलकुलेटेड व्हाट विल बी माय इंटरेस्ट कॉस्ट, व्हाट विल बी माय रिपेमेंट। एंड आप देखिएगा ये 7वें साल जाके मेरा रिपेमेंट नील हो गया, तो मेरा टर्म लोन गॉट। तो आपको प्रोजेक्शंस जो भी वर्किंग रिजल्ट्स, बैलेंस शीट, कैश फ्लो, ये तब तक बनाना है जब तक आपका टर्म लोन 0 नहीं होता है। तो यहाँ 2030-31 तक आपको बनाना है, बिकॉज योर डोर टू डोर लोन इज 7 years। ये इंटरेस्ट रेट देखिए, अभी मैंने सपोज 9.5% लिया है। आई चेंज दिस टू, एंड माई इंटरेस्ट बर्डन फर्स्ट ईयर इज 2.34। अगर मैं चेंज कर देता हूँ से इसको 9.5% कर देता हूँ, तो मेरा इंटरेस्ट बर्डन ऑटोमेटिकली सब जगह चेंज। तो यू हैव टू प्रिपेयर सच वे कि अगर कोई बैंकर्स का सजेशन हो, या आपका ओनर का सजेशन हो, या आपका एम्प्लॉयर का सजेशन हो, या आपका क्लाइंट का सजेशन हो, यू कैन इनकॉर्पोरेट इट इन ए क्लिक ऑफ ए बटन। आपने 9 से 9.5 किया, ऑटोमेटिकली सब फिगर चेंज हो। ये देखिए 26.3 अभी 9.5 कर दिया, 2.47। तो मैं ये चौथा स्टेप भी कंप्लीट कर लिया टर्म लोन चार्ट बनाने का। लेट्स सी व्हाट इज माय फिफ्थ स्टेप हो गया। व्हाट इज माय अब अपने को डिसाइड करना है कि हमको वर्किंग कैपिटल कितना लगेगा बेस्ड ऑन माय सेल्स, बेस्ड ऑन माय प्रोजेक्शन। तो लेट प्रिपेयर मार्जिन मनी फॉर वर्किंग कैपिटल एंड व्हाट एवर वर्किंग कैपिटल रिक्वायरमेंट। जो फर्स्ट स्टेप में आपने देखिए, मैंने आपको बोला था मार्जिन मनी फॉर वर्किंग कैपिटल एक बार टेम्पररी साइड में रखिए। ये इंटरेस्ट पोर्शन तक कंप्लीट हो गया। अब अपन मार्जिन मनी फॉर वर्किंग कैपिटल का वर्किंग कर सकते हैं। कैसे कर सकते हैं? लेट एजम्पशन इज दैट कि भाई हमको कितने महीने का रॉ मटेरियल लगाना पड़ेगा। तो मैंने फर्स्ट ईयर ये अज्यूम किया कि 1 महीने का रॉ मटेरियल का आपका स्टॉक होना चाहिए, आधा महीना आपका फिनिश गुड्स जाएगा, 1/4 मंथ आपका वर्क इन प्रोग्रेस जाएगा। आपको 2 महीने की उधारी देनी है, योर डेटर्स विल बी 2 months ऑफ सेल्स, एंड यू विल गेट say credit of 1 month from your suppliers. So based on that, I can require ki bhai what will be my total current asset and total current liability and what will be my net current asset. Generally, bank 75% आपको by your working capital limits deta hai, but certain banks even for Sunday debtors say many of the banks say कि भाई your margin money will be 40%. 40% means 40% has to be brought in by the promoters. तो अपन चेंज कर देंगे, ये 25% है, अभी टोटल रिक्वायरमेंट 23.40 है, and amount of bank finance 75% will be funding by bank, and this will be your margin money. Let's change it to 40%. Total overall current asset same रहेगा, your portion will get changed. तो let me make it 40%. देखिए 585 की जगह 936 हो गया, and बैंक का लोन कम हो गया, बैंक will give you 14.04. तो मेरा कहने का मतलब है कि सीट को इस तरह से डिजाइन कीजिए ताकि कुछ भी आप चेंज करना चाहे तो ऑटोमेटिकली सब कुछ चेंज हो जाए. तो बेस्ड ऑन दिस आई हैव अराइव्ड एट व्हाट विल बी माय नेट करंट एसेट, व्हाट विल बी फंडेड बाय बैंक, and what will be margin money for working capital. This margin money for working capital जो अभी 11.25 आया, this should now part of your project cost. You see ये पार्ट ऑफ प्रोजेक्ट कॉस्ट 11.25 ऑटोमेटिकली वहां से पिक हो गया. बहुत सारे लोग ये बोलेंगे कि margin money for working capital should not be part of project cost. Many of the banks says, but I say कि this should be part of project cost because your promoter, your owner or your client should be aware of. जिस दिन आप प्रोडक्शन स्टार्ट करेंगे, the day you start commercial production, you must be aware of कि प्रोमोटर्स को और कितना पैसा टुवर्ड्स मार्जिन मनी फॉर वर्किंग कैपिटल लगेगा. तो ऑन डे वन ही इज अवेयर ऑफ, तो ही विल प्लान सच ए वे कि भाई जब कमर्शियल प्रोडक्शन स्टार्ट होगा, जब मैं रॉ मटेरियल सोर्स करूंगा, बैंक तो 75% दे देंगे, 25% आपको लाना है, तो व्हाट विल बी रिक्वायरमेंट फ्रॉम हिज साइड और हर साइड. तो ये ध्यान में रखिए, मार्जिन मनी फॉर वर्किंग कैपिटल must be part of project cost. Obviously it cannot be funded by bank because it will be then double funding एक साइड. तो मार्जिन मनी फॉर वर्किंग कैपिटल पार्ट ऑफ प्रोजेक्ट कॉस्ट हो गया. तो ये स्टेप 6 कंप्लीट करने के बाद एस्टिमेट. देखिए ये मैंने आपको बोला था ये 11.25 ये फिगर ऑटोमेटिकली आ गया. मैं बोला था ये सीट मेरा डायनामिक है. लेट मी चेंज से मार्जिन मनी को अपना डेटर्स की मार्जिन मनी को 25% कर देते वापस 40% की जगह. तो आपका फिगर चेंज हो जाना चाहिए. ये 25% किया, तो अब मार्जिन मनी फॉर वर्किंग कैपिटल is 7.74 जो पहले 11 था. तो इट ऑटोमेटिकली शुड बी चेंज इन माय कॉस्ट ऑफ प्रोजेक्ट. जैसे ये कॉस्ट ऑफ प्रोजेक्ट में चेंज हो गया, टोटल कॉस्ट ऑफ प्रोजेक्ट चेंज हो गया. एंड सीट को इस तरह से लिंकिंग कीजिए कि आपका मीन्स ऑफ फाइनेंस भी टैली रहे. देयर इज नो डिफरेंस बिटवीन कॉस्ट ऑफ प्रोजेक्ट एंड मीन्स ऑफ फाइनेंस. लेट मी गो टू माय नेक्स्ट स्टेप. व्हाट इज माय नेक्स्ट स्टेप? स्टेप नंबर 7, कंप्लीट द इंटरेस्ट वर्किंग इन द वर्किंग रिजल्ट शीट. आपको ध्यान रहा होगा प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस अकाउंट में हमने सेल्स तक का फिगर लिया था, उसके बाद के जो इनडायरेक्ट ओवरहेड है वो अब लेंगे. इंटरेस्ट कॉस्ट टर्म लोन का चार्ट बना लिया, तो आपको मालूम है कि कितना आपका टर्म लोन का इंटरेस्ट कॉस्ट होगा. वर्किंग कैपिटल रिक्वायरमेंट we have arrived at. Now simple working capital limits multiplied by average यूटिलाइजेशन से भी 80-90%. आपको देखा होगा सैंक्शन लिमिट, कभी किसी आप बैंक का सैंक्शन लेटर देखेंगे तो उसमें लिखा रहता है, कई बार टर्म्स एंड कंडीशन रहता है कि और एवरेज यूटिलाइजेशन शुड बी मोर देन 70%. बट कभी भी वर्किंग कैपिटल ऐसा है कि आपने 20 करोड़ का वर्किंग कैपिटल लिया तो एट ऑल पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम यू विल बी नॉट यूटिलाइजिंग 20 करोड़. कभी 15 करोड़ भी होगा, कभी 20 करोड़ भी होगा, कभी 12, कभी 18. एवरेज 80-90% यूटिलाइजेशन हो सकता है. तो कैसे इंटरेस्ट का काम कंप्लीट करेंगे? लेट मी गो टू माय वर्किंग रिजल्ट शीट. अपने सेल्स तक बना लिए थे, ये सेल्स तक का फिगर बना लिया था. एंड सेल्स माइनस टोटल कॉस्ट ऑफ सेल्स, आई हैव अराइव्ड एट ऑपरेटिंग प्रॉफिट. दिस इज माय ऑपरेटिंग प्रॉफिट. टर्म लोन का इंटरेस्ट मैंने टर्म लोन चार्ट से बना लिया. कितना टर्म लोन आपने डिसाइड किया था भाई, फर्स्ट ईयर कितना इंटरेस्ट, सेकंड ईयर कितना, थर्ड ईयर कितना एंड फोर्थ ईयर कितना, सो ऑन एंड सो फोर्थ. तो मैंने सारे सालों का टर्म लोन का इंटरेस्ट मेरे टर्म लोन चार्ट से आ गया. वर्किंग कैपिटल मैंने डिसाइड किया 80% कैपेसिटी यूटिलाइजेशन होगा. नाउ आई नो फ्रॉम माय मार्जिन मनी फॉर वर्किंग कैपिटल व्हाट विल बी माय वर्किंग कैपिटल रिक्वायरमेंट एंड मल्टीप्लाइड बाय रेट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट मल्टीप्लाइड बाय एवरेज यूटिलाइजेशन तो 80% मैंने एज्यूम किया। रेट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट को 8.5 की जगह से 9% कर देते तो ऑटोमेटिकली ये फिगर अपना चेंज हो जाना चाहिए। लेट्स से आई मेक इट 90%। तो देखिए फर्स्ट ईयर, सेकेंड ईयर, थर्ड ईयर का अपना इंटरेस्ट कॉस्ट ऑटोमेटिकली चेंज हो गया। फोर्थ ईयर ऑनवर्ड्स यू कैन कीप इट कांस्टेंट सेम एज थर्ड ईयर, बिकॉज वर्किंग कैपिटल एनीवे हर साल आपको रिन्यू करना पड़ता है, हर साल आपको प्रोजेक्शन देना पड़ता है, एंड बैंकर इज नॉट इंटरेस्टेड बियॉन्ड योर फर्स्ट ईयर और सेकेंड ईयर ऑफ इंटरेस्ट कॉस्ट। तो ये 3 साल का रखने के बाद अगर आप कंस्टेंट रख देंगे तो भी कुछ फर्क नहीं पड़ता है। यू कैन शो इंक्रीमेंटल इंटरेस्ट कॉस्ट बिकॉज एनीवे वर्किंग कैपिटल हर साल आपको रिन्यू करना है। देन आता है आपको डेप्रिसिएशन वर्किंग करना है। लेट्स सी व्हाट इज माय नेक्स्ट स्टेप। नेक्स्ट स्टेप, कंप्लीट द डेप्रिसिएशन एज पर कंपनीज एक्ट। तो कंपनीज एक्ट के हिसाब से एज ए चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट यू आर अवेयर ऑफ एसएलएम डब्ल्यूडीबी मेथड में क्या डेप्रिसिएशन होने वाला है। जनरली डब्ल्यूडीबी मेथड में अगर प्रोजेक्ट साइज छोटा है तो एकदम डीप वर्किंग करने की जरूरत नहीं है। फर्स्ट ईयर जो होगा, सेकेंड ईयर उसका डेप्रिसिएशन इफ यू आर फॉलोइंग डब्ल्यूडीबी जनरली 95% होगा। तो एक बार डेप्रिसिएशन चार्ट में जाते, कैसे डेप्रिसिएशन चार्ट बनाते, ये मैंने ऐसे बनाया है एज पर कंपनीज एक्ट। मेरा कॉस्ट ऑफ प्रोजेक्ट से मेरे पास लैंड कॉस्ट आ गया, लैंड में कोई डेप्रिसिएशन मिलता नहीं है। बिल्डिंग में ये अगर कंटिन्यूअस रनिंग प्लांट है तो जनरली 3.34% बिल्डिंग में मिलता है, प्लांट एंड मशीनरी में 10.34 and miscellaneous fixed asset में 6.33%। these rates are taken from as per schedule 14। अगर रेंट्स चेंज हो रहा है तो आपको उस हिसाब से रेट करके अराइव करना है। बेसिकली you need to have a depreciation chart whereby you can arrive that what will be your depreciation for first year। अगर आपको WDV फ्लो करना है तो फर्स्ट ईयर सेकेंड ईयर ऑनवर्ड्स विल बी स्लोली गेटिंग रिड्यूस। बट अगर आप एसएलएम करना है तो एसएलएम का रेट लगाइए, फर्स्ट ईयर का डेप्रिसिएशन वर्कआउट कीजिए एंड सेम डेप्रिसिएशन विल बी प्रोवाइडेड इन ऑल 4 ईयर, ऑल 7, 8, 10 years whatever projections you are making। तो यहाँ in this case our depreciation is 2.43 and that will go to my working result sheet। वर्किंग रिजल्ट शीट में मैं आपको दिखा देता हूँ कहाँ गया है। ये सेल्स हो गया था, उसके बाद ऑपरेटिंग प्रॉफिट, इंटरेस्ट दे दिया, ये डेप्रिसिएशन। एंड नेक्स्ट ईयर ऑनवर्ड्स आई हैव टेकन 95% ऑफ लास्ट ईयर विल बी नेक्स्ट ईयर डेप्रिसिएशन एंड बेस्ड ऑफ दैट आई हैव अराइव्ड एट ईयर वाइज डेप्रिसिएशन। तो अगर इससे फिर आपका ऑपरेटिंग प्रॉफिट से इंटरेस्ट डेप्रिसिएशन निकाल दिया तो प्रॉफिट बिफोर टैक्स आ गया। प्रिलिमिनरी एक्सपेंसेस यू आर अवेयर ऑफ, यू आर एलिजिबल टू राइट ऑफ इन 5 years। तो मैंने 5 साल में जो भी प्री ऑपरेटिव एंड प्रिलिमिनरी एक्सपेंसेस था उसको 5 साल में मैंने राइट ऑफ कर दिया। तो उसको माइनस किया, प्रॉफिट बिफोर टैक्स। ये सीट थोड़ा लंबा हो रहा था तो मैंने सेकेंड पार्ट उसके पास में बना दिया, वहां से प्रॉफिट बिफोर टैक्सेशन का फिगर लिया। देन यू हैव टू अराइव दैट प्रोविजन फॉर टैक्सेशन। लेट मी सी व्हाट माय नेक्स्ट स्टेप सेज। कैलकुलेशन ऑफ कंप्लीट द डेप्रिसिएशन एज पर इनकम टैक्स एक्ट। आजकल जरूरत नहीं है बिकॉज योर टैक्स प्रोविजन इंक्लूड योर एक्चुअल टैक्स पेबल एज वेल एज डेफर्ड टैक्स। बट एनीवे आप अपन डेप्रिसिएशन एज पर इनकम टैक्स एक्ट बना लेते हैं। लेट मी गो टू दैट शीट। डेप्रिसिएशन एज पर इनकम टैक्स एक्ट मैंने डेप्रिसिएशन सभी सालों के लिए बनाया है। से अपना बिल्डिंग में 10% मिलेगा, फैक्ट्री बिल्डिंग में, प्लांट एंड मशीनरी में 15%, मिसलेनियस फिक्स एसेट में 15%। अपने को कॉस्ट क्या है सब मालूम है। बेस्ड ऑन दैट आई हैव अराइव्ड एट व्हाट विल बी माय कॉस्ट एंड व्हाट विल बी माय डेप्रिसिएशन एंड व्हाट विल बी डब्ल्यूडीबी फॉर नेक्स्ट ईयर। एंड इसी हिसाब से सारे सालों का मैंने डेप्रिसिएशन वर्कआउट कर लिया। ये अगर वर्कआउट हो गया देन अपने पास कंपनीज एक्ट का डेप्रिसिएशन है, इनकम टैक्स का डेप्रिसिएशन है, we can arrive at what will be my provision for taxation। Let me go to the next step। First see what is my PPT says, complete the income tax working। So let me go to my income tax working। सिंपल है, जो आपका पैट आया है ये पैट है, प्रॉफिट आफ्टर टैक्स एज पर योर वर्किंग रिजल्ट्स। ऐड किया डेप्रिसिएशन एज पर कंपनीज एक्ट, लेस किया डेप्रिसिएशन एज पर इनकम टैक्स एक्ट। दीज आर योर टैक्सेबल इनकम, दीज आर एंड जो भी टैक्स रेट है। अभी इन केस हमने पकड़ा 25% टैक्स रेट प्लस 3% सेस, तो 25.75% इज माई टैक्स रेट। इट में चेंज, कभी 22% भी होता है, स्टार्टअप हुआ तो 15% भी होता है। यू नो कि इफ यू डोंट हैव मच मोर एक्सीलरेटेड डेप्रिसिएशन और इस सब का प्रोविजन नहीं है तो 10IC फॉर्म अगर भर देंगे तो नॉर्मल प्राइवेट लिमिटेड कंपनीज के लिए टैक्स लाइबिलिटी 22% हो जाती है। तो बेस्ड ऑन जिस टाइप ऑफ क्लाइंट है, अगर पार्टनरशिप फॉर्म है तो यहाँ आपको 30% टैक्स आ जाएगा, 30.90%। तो सिंपल है, जो भी परसेंटेज है एज ए चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट यू आर अवेयर ऑफ, तो आपने व्हाट इज योर टैक्स लाइबिलिटी वो आपने निकाल लिया। नेक्स्ट स्टेप इज योर कैश फ्लो मेंटेनेंस। तो हमने पहले वर्किंग रिजल्ट्स को देख लेते कंप्लीट हो गया है कि नहीं, बिकॉज अब सब कुछ आ गया है, इनकम टैक्स वगैरह सब वर्क इट कर लिया है। तो लेट मी गो टू, ये देखिए मैंने प्रॉफिट बिफोर टैक्सेशन, प्रोविजन फॉर टैक्सेशन, ये प्रॉफिट आफ्टर टैक्स ऐड किया, डेप्रिसिएशन एंड प्रीलिमिनरी एक्सपेंसेस, आई गॉट माय नेट कैश एक्रूरल, and then certain ratios which has to be shown in a project report to the banker. तो मैंने ऑपरेटिंग प्रॉफिट रेशियो, ऑपरेटिंग प्रॉफिट डिवाइडेड बाय सेल्स, माय ऑपरेटिंग प्रॉफिट, नेट प्रॉफिट डिवाइडेड बाय सेल्स, नेट प्रॉफिट, इंटरेस्ट कवरेज रेशियो, वट एवर cash I am earning and what is my interest liability. So how much times of interest liability is my cash profit. तो ये इंटरेस्ट कवरेज रेशियो, डेट इक्विटी रेशियो सिंपल है, यू आर अवेयर ऑफ, डेट इज टू इक्विटी। एसेट कवरेज रेशियो, कितना टर्म लोन लिया उसके सामने कितना एसेट है, ये स्लो जैसे जैसे टर्म लोन रिपेमेंट होते जाएगा तो आपका एसेट कवरेज रेशियो बढ़ते जाएगा। दो चीज इसमें ध्यान रखने की जरूरत है, इफ यू आर क्लियरली मतलब इफ यू क्लोजली एब्जॉर्ब what is typical characteristic of operating profit and what is typical characteristic of net profit. You see, operating profit should be in narrow band. यहाँ 8.01 से स्टार्ट हुआ था और हाईएस्ट इज 8.28%। तो एक 8 से 8.23% के बीच में ऑपरेटिंग प्रॉफिट घूम रहा है। अगर आपका प्रोजेक्ट रिपोर्ट आपने बनाया, फर्स्ट ईयर 8 आ रहा है, सेकेंड ईयर 12 आ रहा है, थर्ड ईयर 9 आ रहा है, फोर्थ ईयर 10 आ रहा है, that means there is something wrong in your project report. जनरली कोई भी प्रोजेक्ट आप तो एस्टिमेटेड बना रहे, एस्टिमेटेड में ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए कि ऑपरेटिंग प्रॉफिट देयर इज टू मच वेरिएंस इन फर्स्ट ईयर, सेकेंड ईयर, थर्ड ईयर, बिकॉज आपको डायरेक्ट कॉस्ट माइनस करके ऑपरेटिंग प्रॉफिट आने वाली है। तो ऑपरेटिंग प्रॉफिट में कोई लंबा वेरिएंस होता नहीं है इन परसेंटेज टर्म। एंड नेट प्रॉफिट, कोई भी प्रोजेक्ट रिपोर्ट में नेट प्रॉफिट शुड बी ऑलवेज इंक्रीमेंटल। देखिए 2.58 से स्टार्ट हुआ, 3.49 एंड क्लोज दैट 4.64%। ये परसेंटेज जो भी आए प्रोजेक्टेड फिगर में, नेट प्रॉफिट रेशियो ऑलवेज शुड बी इंक्रीमेंटल, नॉट शुड बी रिड्यूसिंग। तो ये सारे रेशियो कंप्लीट कर लिया तो मेरा वर्किंग रिजल्ट्स आ गया है। नाउ वी कैन गो टू कैश फ्लो। कैश फ्लो सिंपल है, ये मेरा कैश फ्लो स्टेटमेंट मैंने बना लिया। अब आप बता सकते, आप एज ए चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट यू आर अवेयर ऑफ सोर्स ऑफ फंड क्या होगा। जो हमने मीन्स ऑफ फाइनेंस लिया था, मीन्स ऑफ फाइनेंस में हमने कितना शेयर कैपिटल लिया था, कितना टर्म लोन लिया था, कितना क्वासी इक्विटी लिया था, दीज आर माय सोर्स ऑफ फंड। एंड अनदर सोर्स ऑफ फंड इज माय प्रॉफिट बिफोर टैक्सेशन विथ इंटरेस्ट एडेड बैक, बिकॉज टैक्स और इंटरेस्ट का पेमेंट हम आउटफ्लो में दिखाते हैं, डिप्लॉयमेंट्स ऑफ फंड्स। तो हमने प्रॉफिट बिफोर टैक्सेशन विद इंटरेस्ट एडेड बैक ले लिया। फिर आपने को सोर्स ऑफ फंड क्या आएगा, मार्जिन मनी फॉर वर्किंग कैपिटल का सीट में हमने अराइव किया था, व्हाट विल बी माय सीसी रिक्वायरमेंट। तो बैंक विल प्रोवाइड मी वर्किंग कैपिटल फैसिलिटी, दैट इज माय सोर्स ऑफ फंड। डेप्रिसिएशन बिकॉज इट इज नॉन कैश एक्सपेंसेस, तो कैश फ्लो में वो भी आ जाएगा सोर्स ऑफ फंड में। preliminary expenses written off, this is also non cash expenses, that will also come as source of fund। and what will be my disposition of fund, simple है, आपका कॉस्ट ऑफ प्रोजेक्ट में कितना फिक्स एसेट आया है, कितना प्रिलिमिनरी एक्सपेंसेस आया है, इंक्रीज इन नेट करेंट एसेट। फर्स्ट ईयर आपका नेट करेंट एसेट बनेगा बिकॉज पार्ट ऑफ दिस इज फंडेड बाय वर्किंग कैपिटल, एंड वर्किंग कैपिटल प्लस मार्जिन मनी शुड बी योर इंक्रीज इन नेट करेंट एसेट। वो वर्किंग कैपिटल मार्जिन मनी के सीट से आपको नेट करेंट एसेट मिल जाएगा। डिक्रीज इन टर्म लोन, फर्स्ट ईयर कोई डिक्रीज हुआ नहीं, सेकेंड ईयर ऑनवर्ड्स आपने रिपेमेंट दिखा दिया। देन इंटरेस्ट ऑन टर्म लोन, बिकॉज यहाँ प्रॉफिट बिफोर इंटरेस्ट लिया है तो इंटरेस्ट को आउटफ्लो में दिखा दीजिए, टर्म लोन में कितना लगेगा, वर्किंग कैपिटल में कितना लगेगा, आपको टैक्सेशन क्या करना है, आपका अगर कोई डिविडेंड पे आउट है, जनरली बैंक का एक सैंक्शन टर्म्स में लेता है टिल द टेन्योर ऑफ टर्म लोन, टिल द टर्म लोन बिकम्स नील यू कैन नॉट डिक्लेयर डिविडेंड। स्टैंडर्ड टर्म अगर बैंक आपको अलाउ करता है और आपका प्रमोटर को लगता है डिविडेंड डिक्लेयर करना चाहिए तो कीजिए, तो बेस हिसाब से डिविडेंड का आपका कितना पे आउट निकलता है वो कैश फ्लो में दिखाइए। तो ये इस बेसिस पे आपका ये सोर्स ऑफ फंड, ये डिस्पोजिशन ऑफ फंड्स, एंड यू कम एट योर ईयर एंड कैश बैलेंस। तो ये आपका कैश फ्लो हो गया। नेक्स्ट स्टेप इज यू हैव टू प्रिपेयर बैलेंस शीट। तो बैलेंस शीट सिंपल है अगेन। आपने कैश फ्लो बना लिया तो बैलेंस शीट भी आराम से बना सकते हो, बिकॉज कैश फ्लो से आपका कैश बैलेंस का फिगर आ गया है, ईयर एंड कैश बैलेंस क्या होगा। ये भी मीन्स ऑफ फाइनेंस से आपका शेयर कैपिटल आ गया। नाउ शेयर कैपिटल इज कंस्टेंट एवरी ईयर। कैश फ्लो में तो फर्स्ट ईयर आएगा, सेकेंड ईयर ऑनवर्ड्स तो आपको वही फिगर आपको कैरी फॉरवर्ड करना है। अनसिक्योर्ड लोन आपने 5 करोड़ लिया है, रिजर्व एंड सरप्लस रिटर्न प्रॉफिट जो है उसके बेसिस पे रिजर्व एंड सरप्लस हर साल रिटर्न प्रॉफिट ऐड होते जाएगा, रिजर्व एंड सरप्लस आपका बढ़ता जाएगा। सिंपल है, जो आप नॉर्मल बैलेंस शीट में बनाते हैं, क्रेडिट बैलेंस लाइंग इन प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस अकाउंट, इसका ये फिगर है आपका। मीन्स ऑफ फाइनेंस से कितना टर्म लोन ले रहे हैं, फिर एवरी ईयर रिपेमेंट के बाद कितना आउटस्टैंडिंग है वो बना लिया, तो आपका लोन फंड आ गया। वर्किंग कैपिटल लोन मैंने आपको बोला था फर्स्ट 3 इयर्स आप एज पर वर्किंग दिखा दीजिए, फोर्थ ईयर ऑनवर्ड्स आप कांस्टेंट दिखा सकते हैं, बिकॉज वर्किंग कैपिटल ऑलवेज रिन्यूड एवरी ईयर। तो आपका वर्किंग कैपिटल कितनी रिक्वायरमेंट है, एस्टिमेशन है, वो चेंज होते रहेगा। बट इनिशियली जब प्रोजेक्ट रिपोर्ट सबमिट कर रहे हैं तो 3 साल का वर्किंग कैपिटल रिक्वायरमेंट दिखा दिया, तो उसके बाद कंस्टेंट रखेंगे तो भी चलेगा। नाउ सिंडिकेटर्स, ये फिगर कहां से आया अपने को मालूम है, मार्जिन मनी फॉर वर्किंग कैपिटल। एक्सक्यूज मी, यू नो, आपने मार्जिन मनी फॉर वर्किंग कैपिटल में दिखाया था 1 महीने का आपको उधारी मिलेगा। बेस्ड ऑन दैट आई हैव पुट दोस फिगर फर्स्ट 30 ईयर, जो मार्जिन मनी फॉर वर्किंग कैपिटल से आया है वो दिखा दिया। देन एप्लीकेशन ऑफ फंड्स, यू नो, फिक्स एसेट्स कितना एक्वायर हुआ, कितना फिक्स एसेट बना आपके पास, कैश फ्लो में भी है, आपके पास प्रोजेक्ट कॉस्ट में भी है, लेस डेप्रिसिएशन कर दिया तो नेट ब्लॉक आ गई। करंट एसेट सिंपल है, मार्जिन मनी फॉर वर्किंग कैपिटल में हमने बनाया था कि कितना हमारा इन्वेंट्री रहेगा, रॉ मटेरियल, फिनिश गुड्स एंड वर्किंग प्रोग्रेस, तीनों को जोड़ दिया है। लेट मी शो इट टू यू, कहाँ से लाया ये तीनों फिगर मैंने यहाँ जोड़ के। ये देखिए मेरा रॉ मटेरियल का स्टॉक एंड फिनिश गुड्स एंड वर्क इन प्रोग्रेस, इसका टोटल आया 16.09। तो देखिए उधर इन्वेंट्री में बैलेंस शीट में 16.09 का फिगर आ जाएगा। सिंपल है ये मेरा, ये कैश फ्लो, ये बैलेंस शीट, ये 16.09। सन्डी डेटर्स अगेन मार्जिन मनी फॉर वर्किंग कैपिटल में हमने एज्यूम किया था 2 महीने का हमारा उधारी रहेगा। बेस्ड ऑन दैट वट एवर डेटर्स फिगर्स वी हैव अराइव्ड दैट वो यहाँ पुट करेंगे एंड कैश फ्लो से कैश एंड बैंक बैलेंस ले लेंगे, तो आपकी बैलेंस शीट तैयार होगी। प्रिलिमिनरी एक्सपेंसेस टू द एक्सटेंट नॉट रिटर्न ऑफ, आप 5 साल में अगर राइट ऑफ कर रहे हो और 2 करोड़ 10 लाख का आपका प्रिलिमिनरी एक्सपेंसेस है इंक्लूडिंग कंटीजेंसी, तो उतना आप 5 से डिवाइड करके आपने उतना preliminary expenses to the extent of not written up you have to shown as intangible asset। तो आपकी ये बैलेंस शीट बन गई है एंड बैलेंस शीट आप देखेंगे बन भी गई है, और हर साल का बैलेंस शीट में कोई डिफरेंस नहीं है, 0/0। इसको मैं येलो कर देता हूँ। अपन डायनामिक और वो जो है उसको वापस टेस्ट करेंगे कि कुछ फिगर अपन चेंज करते हैं तो सब कुछ ऑटोमेटिकली चेंज। इसके बाद छोटे छोटे 2-3 चीजें और बनानी है। लेट मी शो इट टू यू। वन इम्पोर्टेंट पार्ट इज यू हैव टू, ये देख लिया हमने, एक इम्पोर्टेंट पार्ट है डेट सर्विस कवरेज रेशियो विच इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट। लेट मी गो, डेट कवरेज सर्विस ये कुछ नहीं है, जो कैश प्रॉफिट है उसके साथ टर्म लोन का इंटरेस्ट जोड़िए, डिवाइडेड बाय क्या रिपेमेंट हो रहा है और इंटरेस्ट ऑन टर्म लोन कितना पोर्शन है, एंड ए डिवाइडेड बाय बी इक्वल टू योर डेट सर्विस कवरेज रेशियो, एंड उसके बाद एवरेज का फॉर्मूला देके एवरेज डेट सर्विस रेशियो। यहाँ 2-3 चीजें मैं हाईलाइट करना चाहता हूँ। जनरली डेट सर्विस कवरेज रेशियो बैंकर्स प्रेफर एनीथिंग बिटवीन 1.5 टू 2.5। टू स्टैंडर्ड बोलते हैं, बट 50 कम भी हुआ 50 ज्यादा भी हुआ तो कुछ बहुत ज्यादा फर्क नहीं पड़ता। बैंक को इतना मालूम है 2 के आसपास है, मतलब योर अर्निंग्स, योर जितना आपका अर्निंग्स है कैश प्रॉफिट है, यू आर अर्निंग 2 टाइम्स ऑफ योर ऑब्लिगेशन। इसका सिंपल मीनिंग ये होता है। तो डेट सर्विस कवरेज रेशियो इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट। अगर डेट सर्विस कवरेज रेशियो में सपोज ये डेट सर्विस कवरेज रेशियो इंस्टेड ऑफ 2.29 ये आ गया से 3.5, या कोई साल में आपको ये एवरेज DSCR 3.5 आ गया, तो आपको क्या, बैंक आपको क्या बोलेगा कि आपका कैश फ्लो सफिशियंट है, वाई यू नीड 1+6 ईयर्स। तो आप लोन रिपेमेंट को अगर कम कर देंगे, 1+4 ईयर कर देंगे या 1+3 ईयर कर देंगे, तो आपका ऑटोमेटिकली डेट सर्विस कवरेज रेशियो इम्प्रूव हो जाएगा। मतलब 3.5 से 2 के आसपास या 2.25 के आसपास आ जाएगा। अगर सपोज ये डेट सर्विस कवरेज रेशियो एवरेज से 1.25 आ रहा है या 1.3 आ रहा है, बैंकर्स आर नॉट कंफर्टेबल, दे आर सेइंग कि नहीं, डेट सर्विस कवरेज रेशियो मिनिमम तो 1.5 चाहिए, उसके बिना हमारे पॉलिसी मैटर पे हम आपको फंडिंग नहीं दे सकते। तो आपके पास दो उपाय है। पहला शॉर्टकट ये है कि आप फिगर को इन्फ्लेट करो। मेरा सजेशन ये है, कभी भी ऐसा नहीं करना चाहिए। आपका अगर डेट सर्विस कवरेज रेशियो कम आ रहा है तो आप रिपेमेंट शेड्यूल को इंस्टेड ऑफ 1+6 यू कैन डू 1+10 और 1+9, 1+8। जैसा आपको डेट सर्विस कवरेज रेशियो जो बैंकर को चाहिए, वो आने के लिए जितना रिपेमेंट शेड्यूल चाहिए उस हिसाब से आप डेट सर्विस कवरेज कीजिए। कभी भी गलती से भी आप इन्फ्लेटेड फिगर मत सोचो। इन्फ्लेटेड फिगर उसमें क्या होगा, आपने इन्फ्लेट कर दिया फिगर को, प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी बढ़ा दी, कॉस्ट कम कर दी, तो आपका एक ही चीज होगा कि भाई ये बैंक के पॉलिसी के हिसाब से डीएससीआर बन तो जाएगा, बट एक समय कब आएगा जब सेकेंड ईयर थर्ड ईयर उतना कैश फ्लो जनरेट नहीं होगा, तो आपका क्लाइंट या आपका ओनर या आपका प्रोमोटर विल डिफॉल्ट इन लोन। जब वो डिफॉल्ट करेगा तो बोलेगा यार फलाना फलाना चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट ने ये प्रपोजल पे वर्किंग किया था, अपने को बना के दिया था, एंड ये क्लाइंट डिफॉल्ट कर दिया, आपका नाम खराब होगा, बार बार आपको बैंक के साथ डील करना है। तो इन्फ्लेट करने की जरूरत नहीं है। यू कैन स्ट्रक्चर द लोन इन सच ए वे कि अगर कम आ रहा है तो रिपेमेंट शेड्यूल बढ़ा दीजिए, या ज्यादा आ रहा है तो रिपेमेंट शेड्यूल को कम कर दीजिए, सो दैट बैंक वैल्यूज योर सर्विसेज। बैंक बोलता है ये चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट एथिकली सब कुछ करता है। अभी एक क्वेश्चन और आ सकता है कि कोई पर्टिकुलर ईयर में आपका, समझ लो इनिशियल ईयर में, फर्स्ट ईयर सेकेंड ईयर, या फर्स्ट ईयर तो जनरली मॉरेटोरियम रहता है, सेकेंड ईयर थर्ड ईयर में कोई कारण से डेट सर्विस कवरेज रेशियो 1 के आसपास आ रहा है, मतलब आप जितना आपका ऑब्लिगेशन है उतना ही कमा रहे, थोड़ा भी 19-20 हुआ तो आप डिफॉल्ट करता हो। इन दैट सिनेरियो आपको डेट सर्विस कवरेज कैसे करना है इम्प्रूव? सिंपल है। आप अगर आपको मालूम है कि पहला 3 साल हमारी कमाई उस हिसाब से नहीं होने वाली बिकॉज आवर कैपेसिटी लेस, तो आप बलूनिंग रिपेमेंट शेड्यूल कर सकते हैं। शुरू में आप रिपेमेंट कम कीजिए और बाद में रिपेमेंट ज्यादा कीजिए। कोई जरूरी नहीं कि इक्वल रिपेमेंट ही होना चाहिए। आप बैलूनिंग भी कर दिए कि भाई पहला 3 साल हम 10-10% भरेंगे, ऐसा 30, फिर 20-20 करेंगे, 70, और फिर लास्ट में 30% करेंगे। इस तरह का रिपेमेंट शेड्यूल भी कर सकते हैं, सो दैट योर डेट सर्विस कवरेज रेशियो कम्स टू द रिक्वायरमेंट ऑफ बैंक पॉलिसी। बैंक ने बोला 1.5 या 1.25 चाहिए तो वो आ जाएगा, एंड उसी हिसाब से आपको रिपेमेंट शेड्यूल को डिजाइन करना है। ये एक इंपॉर्टेंट हो गया डेट सर्विस कवरेज रेशियो। नाउ सर्टेन थिंग्स यू नीड टू मोर प्रिपेयर, ये सब हमने एक्सप्लेन कर लिया। कॉम्प्यूटेशन ऑफ इनकम टैक्स, एक इंपॉर्टेंट है ब्रेक इवन पॉइंट। ब्रेक इवन पॉइंट जनरली थर्ड ईयर का वर्किंग के हिसाब से ही ब्रेक इवन पॉइंट बनाना चाहिए, बिकॉज फर्स्ट ईयर सेकेंड ईयर की प्रोजेक्ट इंसेप्शन उस पर बनाएंगे तो ब्रेक इवन पॉइंट बराबर होगा नहीं, बट थर्ड ईयर के हिसाब से ही बनाना चाहिए आई सजेस्ट। तो जहां आपका प्रोडक्शन यूटिलाइजेशन, कैपेसिटी यूटिलाइजेशन गेटिंग मैच्योर्ड, उस साल आप ब्रेक इवन पॉइंट बनाइए। ब्रेक इवन पॉइंट वी हैव डन in our graduation course, in our CA course. So sales minus variable cost, you get your contribution, PV ratio, then fixed expenses। आपको मालूम है आपका एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव ओवरहेड, इंटरेस्ट ऑन टर्म लोन, डिप्रिसिएशन, ये प्रोडक्शन रन हो नहीं हो ये तो खर्चा होने ही वाला है, ये आपका फिक्स कॉस्ट हो गया। तो ब्रेक इवन इन टर्म्स ऑफ वैल्यू आ गया, कैश बीईपी आ गया, बिकॉज आप डिप्रिसिएशन को कवर नहीं करोगे उस टाइम, एंड ब्रेक इवन पॉइंट इन टर्म्स ऑफ परसेंटेज आ गया, एंड कैश ब्रेक इवन परसेंटेज आ गया। दिस इज इंपॉर्टेंट रेशियो, बीईपी इज मस्ट। बीईपी व्हाट इट सिग्निफाइज, even if your whatever projections you have made, and if you achieve 50% of that, then also you will not incur in loss, because our break even point is 48.95%। और अगर आप लगभग 30% भी यूटिलाइजेशन कर दिया तो आप कैश लॉस नहीं करोगे। तो ब्रेक इवन पॉइंट एक जरूरी है बनाना। अगर ब्रेक इवन पॉइंट सपोज यहाँ 80% या 90% आ गया ब्रेक इवन पॉइंट इन टर्म्स ऑफ परसेंटेज, तो बैंकर्स और आपको भी ये ध्यान में रखना चाहिए कि थोड़ा भी 19-20 हो गया, कोई ब्लैक स्वान इवेंट हो गया या कोई 19-20 हो गया, प्राइस राइज हो गया, कुछ इंपोर्ट का, एक्सपोर्ट सेल्स बैन, एडिशनल ड्यूटी, किसी भी कारण से तो 90% ब्रेक इवन पॉइंट है, कोई कारण से आप कैपेसिटी यूटिलाइजेशन नहीं कर पाए, तो इट्स ए डेंजरस प्रोपोजिशन की यू आर ब्रेक इवन पॉइंट लेवल इज 90%। तो जो आपने प्रोजेक्ट किया उसका अगर 90% तक अचीव नहीं किया तो योर प्रोजेक्ट मे रन इनटू लॉस। तो ब्रेक इवन पॉइंट इसलिए एक इम्पॉर्टेंट है। फाइनली एक फिनेंशियल समरी बनाना चाहिए, व्हाई दिस शुड बी प्रिपेयर। ये इसलिए है कि जब भी आप कोई प्रोजेक्ट रिपोर्ट बनाते हो तो एक एग्जीक्यूटिव समरी बनता है 2-3 पेज का, भाई ये प्रोजेक्ट डाल रहे हैं, ये प्रोमोटर है, ये हमारा एक्सपीरियंस है, ये मार्केटिंग टाइप है, और ये हमारा प्रोजेक्टेड समरी फिनेंशियल्स दिखेगा। तो आप जब समझ लो 5, 10, 20 करोड़ का लोन का प्रपोजल बनाते हो, प्रोजेक्ट रिपोर्ट बनाते हो, तो बैंकर का सीनियर आदमी के पास, जीएम और सीनियर जीएम और प्रेसिडेंट, सीईओ, जिसके पास भी ये प्रपोजल जा रहा है, उसके पास आप पूरा 100 पेज का प्रोजेक्ट रिपोर्ट दे दोगे, तो उसके पास इतनी टाइम नहीं होती है कि वो प्रोजेक्ट रिपोर्ट आपके वो 7, 10 दिन, 20 दिन उसके टेबल पे पड़ा रहेगा। इसलिए मैं सजेस्ट करता हूँ एक समरी फाइनेंशियल बनाना चाहिए। ये समरी फाइनेंशियल मैंने बना लिया, उसमें सब कुछ दे दिया जो की इंडिकेटर है। मेरा सेल्स कितना होगा, प्रॉफिट बिफोर इंटरेस्ट डेप्रिसिएशन, दीज आर ऑल प्रोजेक्टेड फिगर। इंटरेस्ट कितना, लाइबिलिटी कितना, टैक्स कितना, पैट कितना, मेरा क्वासी कैपिटल है कितना, रिजर्व एंड सरप्लस है, टोटल नेटवर्थ कितना है, डेट इक्विटी रेशियो कितना है, एसेट कवरेज रेशियो कितना है, ब्रेक इवन पॉइंट कितना है, कैश बीईपी कितना है, और मेरा डीएसीआर कितना है। एक समरी फाइनेंशियल्स अगर 2-3 पेज का ये एक एग्जीक्यूटिव समरी बन के आप सीनियर आदमी के पास, बैंक के पास सबमिट कर दिया, उसने देखा एट ए ग्लांस और उसको लगा कि भाई वी कैन अप्रेज दिस प्रोजेक्ट, वी कैन गो अहेड विद फंडिंग दिस, तो इमीडिएटली वो क्या करेगा कि सो एंड सो सर आपका ठीक लग रहा है मेरे को, एंड ही विल गिव इट टू हिज जूनियर दोज हु आर डूइंग अप्रेजल ऑफ दैट प्रोजेक्ट। तो उसको दे देंगे, बोल देंगे भाई इसको आप प्रोसेस करो, अप्रेज करो, एंड वी विल गो अहेड। तो प्राइमा फेसी ओपिनियन बनाने के लिए उसको पूरा प्रोजेक्ट रिपोर्ट देंगे तो पढ़ने का इतना टाइम नहीं मिलता है। सीनियर पीपल दे आर बिजी विथ सो मेनी थिंग्स, तो बेटर है समरी फाइनेंशियल विद एग्जीक्यूटिव समरी आप दे देंगे। बेस्ड ऑन दैट योर से नेशनलाइज बैंक में वो जीएम होता है, तो जीएम अपने देख लिया, उसके जो जीएम हो डीजीएम हो जिसके पावर में आएगा, वो एक बार देख लिया तो वो लोन ऑफिसर को बोलेगा भाई इसको अप्रेजल बना के प्रपोजल आप कमिटी में रखो। तो दैट्स व्हाई आई सजेस्ट यू मस्ट प्रिपेयर समरी फाइनेंशियल। तो अब देखिए इस तरह से अपना प्रोजेक्ट फाइनेंशियल पार्ट पूरा कंप्लीट हो जाता है। सब कुछ बना लिया, लगभग 28 अलग अलग टेबल बना के हमने प्रोजेक्ट फाइनेंशियल्स कंप्लीट कर दिया। At initial, I claim that my project report is very dynamic. How it can be dynamic? अभी देखिए मैंने सपोज ये 1+6 ईयर के जगह मैंने 1+5 कर दिया, रीपेमेंट को बढ़ा दिया। ये रीपेमेंट को मैंने 1+6 के जगह 1+5 किया, और यहाँ 24 से डिवाइड करने के बजाय 20 से डिवाइड किया, तो मेरा रीपेमेंट बढ़ गया। तो ऑब्वियसली मेरा डीएसीआर कम आना चाहिए। अब देखिए डीएसीआर कम आएगी, टर्म लोन रीपेमेंट बढ़ा दिया, इनकम टैक्स हो गया, डीएसीआर इस साइड में, सॉरी देखिए पहले 2.29 आया था एवरेज, अब आपका 2.11 आ गया बिकॉज ऑफ रीपेमेंट। अब इतना चेंज करने के बाद, रीपेमेंट चेंज करने के बाद, लेट्स सी बैलेंस शीट टैली है क्या, बिकॉज टर्म लोन का फिगर चेंज हो जाएगा ईयर एंड, एंड देखिए बैलेंस शीट अगेन टैली। दैट्स व्हाई आई कॉल्ड इट इज डायनामिक एंड मल्टीपर्पज। व्हाई मल्टीपर्पज, आई विल टेल यू लिटिल बिट ऑन, इफ टाइम परमिट्स 5-10 मिनट उसमें भी बात करेंगे, और थोड़ा बहुत माइनर चेंज करके देखते हैं। से लेट हुई 60, 70, 80% है, इसके जगह 55, 60 और 65 कर दो, तो मेरा सेल्स का फिगर चेंज हो गया। अब बैलेंस शीट टैली है कि नहीं? यस, माय बैलेंस शीट इज टैली। टोटल sources of fund 77.68 and total utilization is 70.70, मतलब application of fund is 77.68 and there is no difference। कोई साल में कभी भी कोई डिफरेंस नहीं, और भी कुछ चेंज कर सकते हैं। लेट्स चेंज कि टर्म लोन जो है हमने एज्यूम किया था 65%, हम एज्यूम करते कि भाई हम 75% ज्यादा टर्म, तो टर्म लोन का फिगर चेंज हो गया। तो मीन्स ऑफ कॉस्ट ऑफ प्रोजेक्ट 4580 है, ऑटोमेटिकली मीन्स ऑफ फाइनेंस 4580। ये क्यों हो रहा है? कि हमने जितना कॉस्ट ऑफ प्रोजेक्ट है लेस जितना क्वासी इक्विटी डाल रहे हैं, और जितना टर्म लोन डाल रहे हैं बैलेंस इज शेयर कैपिटल। इसको अगर 5 की जगह मैं 7 कर दूं तो ऑटोमेटिकली शेयर कैपिटल चेंज हो जाएगा। कॉस्ट ऑफ प्रोजेक्ट मींस ऑफ फाइनेंस विल बी ऑलवेज टैली। इतना चेंज करने के बाद देखते हैं बैलेंस शीट टैली हुआ है क्या नहीं, इट इज वेदर इट इज शोइंग एनी डिफरेंस। Balance sheet is here. There is no difference. Balance sheet is again 10. अब सपोज डेट इक्विटी डीएससीआर देखते क्या है पोजीशन है डीएससीआर का। अगर वो कंफर्टेबल जोन से बाहर है तो रिपेमेंट शेड्यूल को वापस बढ़ा देंगे ताकि ये कंफर्टेबल जोन में आ जाएगा। सपोज आपका बैंक ने बोला भाई मेरे को तो 2% एवरेज डीएससीआर चाहिए, तो इन दिस केस बिकॉज टर्म लोन ज्यादा मांगा है तो डीएससीआर 1.59 आ गया। बैंकर मे नॉट कंफर्टेबल बिकॉज आपका सेकेंड ईयर देखिए 1.04 ही है, तो आप नेक टू नेक चल रहे हो। जितना आपका अर्निंग है ऑलमोस्ट उतना ही आपका ऑब्लिगेशन है। थोड़ा भी अर्निंग में 5-10% कम बेसी हो गया तो देयर इज ए प्रोबेबिलिटी विल डिफॉल्ट। दैट्स व्हाई ये 1.04 है तो बैंकर बोलेगा नहीं बॉस, तो आपके पास एक ऑप्शन है, या तो टर्म लोन फिगर को कम कर दीजिए। मैं अगर वापस चेंज करता हूँ टर्म लोन फिगर को, इंस्टेड ऑफ 75% ऑफ एवरीथिंग, इफ आई टेक लैंड बिल्डिंग में मैं 60% ही लूंगा, इसको 75 की जगह 60% कर दिया मैंने, तो मेरा टर्म लोन का फिगर चेंज हो गया। अब देखिए डीएसीआर रेशियो क्या होता है, ऑटोमेटिकली डीएसीआर रेशियो इंप्रूव हो गया, ये 1.73 के आसपास आ जाएगा एवरेज। ये डीएसीआर 1.73 आ गया, और जो 1.04 आ रहा है 1.13 आ गया। उसके बाद भी कंफर्टेबल नहीं है तो आप लोन रिपेमेंट पीरियड जो कम किए थे उसको वापस बढ़ा दीजिए। इंस्टेड ऑफ 1+5 टू मेक इट 1+6, तो आपका डीएसीआर रेशियो फर्दर इंप्रूव कर जाएगा। लेट्स सी, इसको 1.6 कर देते हैं और इसको रिपेमेंट को इंस्टेड ऑफ 20 इसको 24 कर देते हैं, 6 साल का कर दिया, आपका रिपेमेंट कम हो गया। अब डीएसीआर रेशियो फर्दर इंप्रूव, देखिए 1.87 आ। नाउ बैंकर विल बी मोर कंफर्टेबल टू डील। तो बेस्ड ऑन योर डीएसीआर, दिस इज वेरी की पैरामीटर्स। आपको थोड़ा बहुत अगर ट्विक करना है या टर्म लोन कम करना है, रिपेमेंट बढ़ाना है, रिपेमेंट घटाना है, दिस शुड बी डन। बट व्हाई आई सेड डायनामिक, कि आप कुछ भी चेंज करो तो ऑटोमेटिकली एवरीथिंग शुड बी, देखिए इतना सारे चेंजेस किए, इफ यू गो टू माय बैलेंस शीट इट विल बी स्टिल 10 because everything get automatically changed. You see there is no difference, zero beta. So that's why I called it is dynamic. Now question arise how it is multi-purpose. Multi-purpose का दो रीजन, एक होता है कि if you are chartered accountant, practicing chartered accountant, आपका आपको मालूम है गुड ओल्ड डेज एंड स्टिल कंटिन्यूइंग, इफ यू हैव ग्रीन फील्ड प्रोजेक्ट में जा रहे हैं तो कई बार बैंकर आपको बोलता है कि इसको इकोनॉमिक वायबिलिटी रिपोर्ट बना के लाइए। तो इकोनॉमिक वायबिलिटी एज ए कंसल्टेंट यू कैन प्रिपेयर इकोनॉमिक वायबिलिटी रिपोर्ट, यू कैन एम्पैनल योरसेल्फ विद योर बैंक। इकोनॉमिक वायबिलिटी रिपोर्ट में क्या है, इस तरह का उसका जो प्रोमोटर या जो क्लाइंट या जो पर्सन प्रोजेक्ट लगा रहा है उसने जो डेटा दिया है उसको इस स्प्रेडशीट पे डाल दीजिए, और फिर आप चेंज कीजिए। भाई कैपेसिटी यूटिलाइजेशन 5% से कम कर देते, रॉ मटेरियल कॉस्ट 2% से बढ़ा देते, सेल्स सेल प्राइस 2% से कम करते हैं, 5% कम करते हैं, दोनों कम बेसी करके देखते हैं तो आपके ओवरऑल जो की फिनेंशियल्स है उसमें क्या चेंजेस आ रहे हैं। कि कहीं ऐसा तो नहीं हो रहा है कि भाई 5% अगर रॉ मटेरियल कॉस्ट बढ़ गया तो आपका ब्रेक इवन पॉइंट कमिंग अराउंड 100%। तो बेस्ड ऑन दैट यू कैन प्रिपेयर वन, इट इज कॉल्ड सेंसिटिविटी एनालिसिस, एंड वो प्रिपेयर करके बैंक को इकोनॉमिक वायबिलिटी रिपोर्ट आप बना के दे सकते हो। and banker will appreciate as a chartered accountant you have done a good job by tweaking all those things। and tweaking भी क्या हो रहा है कि क्लिक ऑफ ए बटन आपके सारे फिगर इस तरह का अगर स्प्रेडशीट बन गया तो सारे फिगर चेंज हो जाएगा। यू विल बी अवेयर ऑफ व्हाट इज योर की फिनेंशियल्स एंड बेस्ड ऑन दैट यू कैन मेक ए ओपिनियन एंड गिव ए इकोनॉमिक वायबिलिटी रिपोर्ट टू बैंक। अच्छा, और क्यों मल्टीपर्पज हो सकता है, सपोज आपका जो घर पे नेक्स्ट जनरेशन है, किसी ने आइडिया दिया भाई ये प्रोजेक्ट बनाओ, से किसी ने आइडिया दिया कि यार सैनिटाइजर बनाने का प्रोजेक्ट लगाओ यार, ये कॉस्ट आएगा, ये इसका प्रोजेक्ट कॉस्ट है, ये प्रॉफिट होगा, ये वर्किंग रिजल्ट होगा। तो आप इंस्टेड ऑफ, सी ही इज ए टेक्निकल मैन जो आपको गाइडेंस दे रहे, इंस्टेड ऑफ दैट यू पुट ऑल दोज इंफॉर्मेशन इनटू दिस स्प्रेडशीट and you decide on your own क्या break even आ रहा है, क्या profitability आ रहा है, क्या DSCR बन रहा है, क्या BEP बन रहा है. तो based on that you can suggest your younger generation or your family member कि भाई तेरे को इस प्रोजेक्ट में जाना चाहिए या नहीं जाना चाहिए. तो इस तरह से आपको प्रोजेक्ट रिपोर्ट बनाना है. तो टुडे आई हैव डेल्ट विथ हाउ टू प्रिपेयर प्रोजेक्ट्स फिनेंशियल्स इन क्विक टाइम. अरे ये बनाने को एक बार आपने सब डेटा आपके पास आ गई तो ये बनाने को 30 मिनट से ज्यादा नहीं लगता है. एंड 30 मिनट में आप एक डायनामिक मल्टीपर्पज प्रोजेक्ट फिनेंशियल्स बना देते हो. इसके साथ रेस्ट ऑफ द डॉक्यूमेंट आप जोड़ दोगे तो आपका प्रोजेक्ट फिनेंशियल प्रोजेक्ट रिपोर्ट बन जाएगी. एंड देन यू आर गुड टू गो. लेट मी सी इफ देयर इज एनीथिंग रिमेनिंग इन माय प्रेजेंटेशन पार्ट. 11 हो गया. कंप्लीट द बैलेंस शीट. बैलेंस शीट में मैंने आपको बताया था कि लाइबिलिटी साइड में कहाँ से फिगर लेना है, कौन सा चीज, ये मैंने पीपीटी में एक्सप्लेन कर दिया. कहाँ से एसेट साइड का फिगर आएगा. कंप्लीट द बैलेंस शीट, complete DSCR, and you are good to go. Now, before I end, we'll take if there is any question, and you can note down my mobile number. I am active on WhatsApp. If you mail me or WhatsApp me, if you need this spreadsheet or my presentation sheet, I can mail it to you. Give me 24-48 hours time. ऐसा नहीं है कि कल आपने 1 घंटे बाद WhatsApp किया, नहीं expecting that immediately I will mail it to you. I may be stuck up in something else, but definitely I will try to give those presentation or Excel sheet to you for your benefit. My mobile number is 9820403876. You can note it down. If there is any question, I can go into the question, and let me check with Ayush ji.
So
Ayush ji, कोई
yeah,
question है?
thank you. नहीं, no question, sir. It was a detailed explanation. I believe everybody has understood everything, and certainly it is a very dynamic uh, Excel sheet, and it would definitely help everybody. Also, the insight that you have given that you should always, support a summary, which would, help the bankers also to, we don't waste their time and they get into the summary and they could, instantly realize whether we are good to go with the proposal. So very, very thank you, Shiv Bhagwan Aswaji. Really thankful for the same. There was only one question, which is, we need the Excel sheet, and as you have already committed that you'll be sharing it either to the committee, and also you can, send a mail or by, calling on the phone number that you have shared. You, you can get the Excel sheet. Thank you so much, Shiv Bhagwan Aswaji, for your presentation. Moving on to our next guest speaker for today, it is my privilege to, introduce you to Shri Sanjeev Pandeji. Sanjeev Pandeji is a retired Deputy General Manager and Head of NCLT at State Bank of India in May 2022. His journey in SBI began from a probationary officer, and he has been there for like 36 years. He has various positions in commercial banking, project finance, business development, stress asset management, and more. Notably, Sanjeev ji served as a head of treasury at SBI Singapore from 2009 to 2014 and gained international banking exposure. Sanjeev ji has closely associated with IBC since its inception in December 2016. He was deputed at IBBI as a DGM at the beginning of establishment of IBPI. In his role of DGM of NCLT division of SBI, he has drafted banks policies, guidances, SOPs for IBC process. Presently, Sanjeev ji is serving as a consultant in banking, restructuring, and insolvency with DSK Legal, a renowned law firm in Mumbai. He is also a part of advisory for research on restructuring and insolvency related topics at CAFRAL of our RBI Mumbai. We are truly honored to have Mr. Sanjeev Pandeji today with us, a distinct expert in the field of banking structure, restructuring, and insolvency. His insights and experience will undoubtedly enrich our webinar today. So, over to you, Sanjeev ji. Welcome.
Thank you, Ayush, and thank you, Chartered Accountant Institute, for inviting me to this webinar. And thanks, Mr. Shiv Bhagwanji. I think excellent presentation. It reminded me of my early days as a credit analyst in the bank. So we were using these kind of Excel sheets, and I think this is a much improved version on that. So thank you, sir. So can I share my screen?
Yep, you can.
Thank you, Sanjeev ji, for your kind words.
Thank you, sir. Are you able to see my screen yet? No.
Not yet, not yet. Uh, is there from anyone from the technical team can help Sanjeev ji to share the screen? Or Nishi, if you could,
Yeah.
can you please help Sanjeev ji to share the screen, please? There is a screen share option coming just at the bottom. It is in green. Screen share option. You can share that. Yes, yes. Now we can see your screen, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. So I'm audible. Yeah. So my topic is basically equity funding, stress asset funding, and role of CAs in SME finance. So I think by mistake in the handout you have mentioned me as a chartered accountant. I'm not exactly a CA. I'm an insolvency professional. I have been dealing with insolvency matters for last more than 7 years, including my stint at IBBI, where I was part of team drafting the regulations of the code. So basically, this entire scheme, as my friend Mr. Biswal also shared, the basic some investment skills are required by CAs for handling these kind of matters. So let me start with this investment banking skills required by CAs for funding of MSMEs. First of all, we all who are in this trade must have some sense of the industry, which particular industry our client is dealing with. If we have some fair idea, so that will help us in assisting the client as well as getting funding for him. So as a credit analyst and as a credit officer of the bank, I used to keep a lot of industry data. And that data used to come from like financial dailies, like Economic Times, Financial Express. And then we used to have access to certain software like Powes and other sources. But basically, it is your inclination to keep some data regarding your industry, and you should be aware of what are the latest changes, latest challenges, latest developments in the particular industry happening. So that will come handy whenever you handle a client's proposal. Second thing important is presentation skills. Nowadays, as I'm making a presentation, so presentation skills are very, very required for all kind of professionals, and especially for CAs, because it has become a kind of default mode that whenever you present a case to somebody, even today, even courts are demanding that lawyers come with a brief presentation of the case in hand. So similarly, whenever you approach a bank or an investor or a private equity fund or anybody, venture capitalist, first of all, they will ask you to make a presentation, because that makes it a very, very kind of a detailed analysis of the proposal and a structured analysis of the proposal, basically. So I think this is a big contribution of MS Office, that this PPT, which they have given as a gift to all of mankind, I will say, all professionals. This is a big tool which can be used very effectively by CS. Then analytical skills. Analytical skills means, like, as you are chartered accountant, you have good analytical skills for studying a balance sheet. Then, as our friend has explained, how we can build upon an Excel model. So, and then that in that model, you can do a lot of analysis after like feeding the data. So as he was suggesting, you can do sensitivity analysis. We can do DSCR analysis, lot of analysis. And this was a still simple model. If you graduate to next levels of Excel, so lot more analysis can be done through Excel. So these analytical skills, especially skills with Excel, are highly required. Then are required your English drafting skills. So I work for a law firm. I know the importance of drafting. And in today's world, most of the communication is in English and through emails, through like messages, then through letters also go through email, then drafting a proposal, the body of the proposal. All those things required very good drafting skills. So if you have a good command over English language, and you can be brief at the same time, you succinct, you can explain full narrative in a small space, then you are good at drafting. So that is a, I think, highly recommended skill for all of you. Then, of course, communication and negotiation skills. So communication skills, again, are like how you speak, how you present yourself, how you present your client, how like effectively you can convey and convince the counterparty. These are kind of communication skills. And the negotiation skills comes handy when you negotiate the price of the investment or the loan, the interest rates, all those things. Even I think negotiation skills is a skill which is like very, very important for every professional. And ultimately, last but not the least, the networking skills. So networking is ultimately the game, as we see, like most of the most successful startups in the world are networking startups, right from your Facebook, now LinkedIn. So networking has become a huge industry, and I think a lot of tools are available today. So I think I'll recommend CAs, they should network with all the stakeholders like bankers, investors, investment bankers, valuers, lawyers, industry experts, insolvency professionals, and other market players. So by interacting with these players, they develop a sense of the market. They get a good feedback that what's happening in the current. So what you read in the papers or in the research studies or whatever are taught in the books of your chartered accountancy or other professional books are basically a history of what has happened. But unless you remain networked, you are not aware of current happenings. So that is why networking is a very, very recommendable skill. Now let us come to private equity funding. Basically, equity funding, I'll say. So first, equity funding we can get through private equity. Private equity are basically funds which are promoted by one particular professional who is called a general partner, who has a exposure in the and good network of high net worth individuals and a good understanding of a particular market. Like if I say as an insolvency professional with an 8-year track record of insolvent companies and their resolutions and treatment. So if I propose a small fund of say $10 million and I promote a fund, I bring in some 10, 15 parties, which can be high net worth individuals, which can be some family offices, and I can create idea behind this. Okay, I will manage this fund and I have enough experience. Based on my exposure, my experience, and my expertise, these people provide me some funding. Okay, you start with say 1 million, and as you grow, we will keep on funding so that by the time we reach 10 million, you have your sufficient fund. And then I start looking for small investment opportunities in this space of SMEs. So this is how these private equity funds are created. The fund manager is called or is the general partner, and others are limited partners. So general partner has all the authority to act on his strategy. He keeps sharing the details with the limited partner, but generally he is free to take his decisions. And apart from some kind of agreement regarding the returns, he can claim some, like there are various models. He can provide a fixed return to the partner, but generally it is based on the performance. So at a certain level performance, he gets some revenue, like out of say 20%, if he achieves the return target, he will get a 5% return on the overall revenues. Like that, their remuneration is also decided upfront. So these are how these funds work, and they can start from as small as 10 million to as big as few $1 billion. So these are one very good source of equity for the MSMEs. So this is how the cycle works: fundraising, then fund launching. Fund launching is the stage when this idea of where to invest, how to invest, how much to invest is floated among the probable partners, limited partners. Then once the partners come on board, then and they provide some money, then deal sourcing starts. So then the general partner will start talking to the market, talking to various agencies for taking deals, and he will decide, okay, out of $10 million, how many deals I require, whether I have to invest in 10 companies or 20 companies, what is the maximum we have to invest, what is the minimum we have to invest. Then once deal sourcing is complete, deal financing happens. Deal financing stage, he will ask for further funds from the limited partner. So they have upfront provided some funds, say 1-2 million, but once deal financing is deal sourcing is complete, they will provide all the funds, then deal financing starts. After deal financing, the model is that now this fund or this equity fund will remain with this company for maybe 3 to 7 years, up to 10 years. Again, it depends on the strategy upfront, whenever the fund was decided. And deal financing will take around 1 to 3 years. Then normally it takes 3 to 4 years to turn around or improve the conditions of the business. And then there's the time to exit. So deal financing to value creation. So this is where these funds come in. They handhold the promoters. They provide them both working capital and term equity funding for both. And then once the value is created, the sales grow, the profit grow, they go into the stage of exiting. Exiting can be by way of IPO, can be by way of sale to some third-party fund, larger fund, or can be through buyback arrangement also with the promoter. And finally, when most of the deals have been exited, the fund is liquidated. Another model of equity funding for SMEs can be through IPOs or initial public offers. So basically, objective of SME IPOs is financing growth, incentive initiatives, expansion of capacity, making acquisitions. So in SME space, many times the SMEs don't have a viable level of operation. So most of the SMEs I have dealt with, either they are too small to compete in the market and too small to get a formal funding from a bank or a institution. So here comes the one of the purpose the a certain level of MSME, they go for the inorganic route. This is called inorganic route, where they grow through acquisitions. So one of the purpose of IPO can be making acquisition for other MSMEs, so that to enhance the capacity, enhance the market coverage, and other abilities. Then expansion of capacity, of course, within the unit, more machinery required. Then maybe the company requires more visibility. Then investing in the R&D and technology. Sometimes to keep up with the market forces, the MSME requires innovation, change of product, improvement in products. So they have to invest in R&D and technology. Sometimes new laws come in, like some pollution control regulation has been implemented, so they have to invest in pollution treatment technologies. Sometimes new type of machinery is coming, like when I was in credit at the time, this computerized machines came in. So most of the old MSMEs, they were going for this automatic computer controlled machines, so which required much higher investment. So these kind of investment can come through IPO. Then repayment of debt, of course, because equity is basically a zero debt source of fund, zero interest cost. So basically, the repayment of debt is also can be one of the purpose of IPO. And finally, meeting the working capital requirements. So steps involved in a IPO for MSMEs. So as you all may be knowing, MSMEs have a special exchange facilities in both BSE and NSE. They have special exchanges for IPOs of SMEs. So where the requirement for listing, for coming out with the IPO are much less than a larger corporate. So we can approach these exchange, sub-exchanges within the exchange who do the SME IPOs. And first of all, we appoint an investment banker, which can be any like firms like Edelweiss, JM Financial, Kotak Mahindra Finance, or maybe some bank, private bank, some investment banks. So depending on the size and our budget, we can appoint a suitable investment banker. Then the investment banker helps us in preparing a prospectus, which is kind of a information memorandum, which captures most of the details of the company. So history, geography, product, the technology being used, the number of employees, the kind of market they are providing, the vendors. Apart from that, the financials of the company for the last few years, maybe 3 to 4 years, the risk factors involved with this business, those are also discussed. So basically, prospectus can be as detailed as possible to provide the prospective investors a good, deep insight into your company. So prospectus preparation is very, very critical stage. So where I have seen that investment bankers and the promoter and their chartered accountants sitting, putting time together, long hours together to prepare a good document. The more this document is prepared, better with graphs, with details. So I think you can attract more prospective investors. Then conduct a due diligence. So any IPO requires a lot of upfront legal requirements and regulatory requirements. So for which due diligence is required. So this investment banker will appoint a CA firm and a law firm to perform a due diligence on the company. Then finally, setting the offer price. So setting offer price is again a very, very critical decision, because if you put a price higher than comparative to your companies of similar risk profile, so people may not be interested in investing. So IPO may fail. And if you set up the price low, so you are giving out equity. Your the company created by your sweat and your effort at a underpriced value. So that is the risk. So setting an optimum price is very, very critical. Again, it depends on the market conditions at the time. Sometimes the market is depressed, so your offer price has to be low. Sometimes market is bullish, as we may have seen last few months. Many IPOs came of small, big, large corporates. So market was bullish, and most of the IPOs were being subscribed by minimum 3 to maybe going up to 70, 100 times. So these times, the offer price can be slightly higher than the required price. Marketing of IPOs, again, very, very important. Since you are dealing with the MSME, they don't have those kind of budgets. Even the total IPO size may be 10 crore or 15 crore. So keeping a tight control on marketing and IPO cost, at the same time reaching out to the right market is also important. So marketing is very, very critical. Most prevalent model is giving advertisements in the newspaper. Generally, advertisements start 1 month or 2 months before the IPO, so that you get a visibility in the market, what kind of products we are making, what is the utility of this product and all that. And as you are closer to the IPO, the advertising grows. And on the IPO date, you require the advertising on 3 days at least when the IPO is open. On the day of opening, then middle day and the day of closing. And finally, once the IPO closes successfully with a minimum required subscription, then allocation of shares. So I think enough on IPOs. Advantages of IPOs are less stringent listing requirement for MSMEs than large IPOs. IPOs provide access to capital as well as liquidity with zero interest cost. So it comes as equity is basically zero cost. Of course, after some time you may have to disburse dividend, but it is basically comes at a no cost, no fixed cost. It increases credibility and visibility of the brand of the company in the market. So once you start coming with advertisement, whether it's a TV ad or a newspaper ad, market perceives that this is a kind of a good company, big company, because they are giving advertisement in newspapers. They have that kind of capacity, so they must be good. So that is one big contribution of IPOs, that they bring you in the market. You become visible in the market. And then they provide opportunity for expansion and exit opportunity to existing investors without loss of control to existing promoters. So you are able to expand business, and you are not loaded with debt because of expansion, because more debt means you are also exposed to insolvency, and the bank tomorrow, if you default, bank can take you to IVC, to court. So those risks can be avoided. At the same time, if you already have some equity investor who is there with you for 3 to 5 years, as we have discussed, like private equity investor, so this IPO gives them a chance to exit. Challenges are lack of investor awareness. For smaller company, investors may be risk averse. They are not aware of the business you run. So that is one challenge. Limited liquidity in shares post-listing. Second challenge is that liquidity means that your share should have a buy and sell quote every day, every time. So that tomorrow your investor wants to sell in the market, he should have a ready buy. But sometimes the smaller companies, SME IPOs, don't find that kind of liquidity. But that can be managed if you can get hold of a same investment manager or some investment manager who will provide liquidity to the market. So that can be arranged in the market by investing some money. So you can put some money in the hands of investor, so that he can, at the time of low rates, he can start buying shares, and when the rates share going, he can start selling. That provide liquidity to him. And then, of course, increase regulatory requirements, hence compliance costs, because of the listing of the company. Then coming to distress asset funding, basically we can have a look at why SMEs fail, because to resolve any sickness, any problem, first of all, we should understand the problem. We should diagnose the sickness, diagnose the problem, why it has failed. So through my experience in insolvency, and then before that, most of the time in credit, so I have seen that these are some basic reasons for failure, like inaccessibility to credit and funding. So sometimes SMEs, they need credit for expansion, maybe credit for some payment of some bills, sometimes payment of taxes. So because they are small companies, not very capital efficient, so at that time, if they get money, they can do well, but most of the time, they don't have access. Another problem is that MSMEs are basically a risky business. The rate of failure of MSMEs is very, very high, as the rate of construction also, rate of evolution also. So every year, I would say few lakh SMEs may be created as startups, then they become micro enterprises, then small enterprises. And at the same time, lakhs of SMEs and micro SMEs also fail or wind up every year. So that is why all formal lenders perceive MSMEs as a risky business. Then they have limited resources and infrastructure, so their capital base is very, very low. I have done a research on MSMEs, and going through the market, I found that almost 80% of the MSMEs are in the services sector. Only 20% are in manufacturing sector. Out of this 80%, I would say, again, 60% of these 80% may be in retail business. So what are these retail businesses? Mostly that pop and mom shops, these grocery shops. Then there are another 20% maybe in the food business. No, not 20. Retail is around 50%. Food is around 60%. Food and beverages like tea shops, your small restaurants, small eateries, your bhaji walas, your vada pav wala, all these guys, they constitute another 6%. Then repairs and maintenance, another 4%. Then your garments and all 5%, like your tailors, okay, your small boutiques, small textile shops, small garment shops. These are another 5%. And finally, textiles, like just selling textile, they are 3%. So this is a major chunk of MSMEs in India who are in these industries, so constituting more than almost 60%. Another feature I found in my research is that very few MSMEs are actually registered in the government portals. And the research shows that only 10% are registered, 90% of the MSMEs are unregistered. As we all know, there is a Lagu Udyam registration portal of Government of India, MSME Ministry. So they have made it very, very easy to register a MSME. But what I found through my research is that MSMEs are not interested in registering, and which is one of the factors of their having not access to finance, and they are failing very frequently. And their limited resources, because they don't want to go into the formal domain. So they want to stay away from like all the regulations of the industry, like pollution control, the electricity suppliers, because in case they declare themselves as an industry, register as an industry, immediately the rate of power goes up. Then, of course, GST, many of them would like to avoid GST like taxes. Then labor laws, many like to avoid labor laws, so they avoid registering themselves. So these are many reasons I found where, and because of this, 90% of the MSMEs in India, out of approximately more than 7 crore MSMEs, only maybe 60 to 70 lakhs may be registered with the government. So this is the reason for limited resources and infrastructure, because they work through informal infrastructure. Like if we look at this Dharavi Islam in Mumbai, they have large concentration of SMEs. But because they are mostly unregistered, not in an industrial area, so they will find it very, very difficult to have access to credit and funding from formal sources. So they only have to depend on the informal sources like money lenders or the some family friends and all. Then, of course, management-related factors. Most of the MSMEs, as I said, are commanded by one person maybe, and if tomorrow he goes sick, the MSME stop working. Sometimes the management has succession problems. Sometimes they take bad decisions. Sometimes suddenly some family exigencies which require large infusion of funds, like somebody is sick in the family, so they have to divert funds from the SME for treatment. All these factors, and then not a formal decision-making setup, so one person do everything. These kind of factors also lead to failure. Then competition from larger organized sectors. So as we have all seen, like last few years since the introduction of GST, very large number of MSMEs, especially in retail space, even in manufacturing space, are going out of business. I can tell you one example. I used to see a lot of these white good retailers in the markets. Most of the market, every local market has 2-3 small white good retailer who will be having some limited inventory of 10-20 TVs, some 10 fridge, some washing machines and fans, all kind of white goods. And they were doing a good business because their local people knew them. They took their word as a guarantee, and then they used to persist. But then once this GST law came in, now you see most of these small retailers are winding up. So where in the same market there were earlier 15 or 20 such shops, today you find hardly 1 or 2. And then you also find large showrooms of Reliance Digital, large showrooms of Chroma, maybe your Vishal sales. So these are big players, organized players who are just pushing out SMEs because they could not handle this GST and regulatory impact of the markets. The large players, they buy in bulk from the large companies, so they have cost advantage. Then they have space advantage. They acquire large properties as showroom, and they have like multiple showrooms, so they can have advantage of advertising and everything. Then limited market access and formulation of market. So as I said, formulation means GST and other laws are leading to formulation of markets, because all those companies or businesses who do not register themselves on GST portal, so they are gradually getting pushed out of the market. So these has created a problems for MSME. Unavailability of skilled workforce, that is another challenge for especially MSMEs in manufacturing sector. So because of NAREGA, and then because of other schemes, PMRY schemes, other schemes, and then movement of workforce towards like young generation are mostly looking for comfortable jobs in IT sector or finance sector. So they don't prefer a manufacturing job. So these are leading to skilled worker, lack of skilled worker, especially after COVID. When many of the skilled workers, they left MSMEs and went back to their farms, went back to their villages, and ultimately they never came back. Lack of financial discipline. Because of their limited training in finance and accounting, most of the MSME promoter, they feel that there is only one account which they use for everything. Right from their personal expenses, their children's education, to purchase of raw material. So sales come into that account, purchase goes from that account, everything happens in that account. So they have no clue about what is happening in the company, what is my capital, what is my debt position, how much am I earning. So these kind of problem. And then a major problem which I learned in my career as a credit analyst was that these small companies, small SMEs, they tend to have like very jumpy decisions. Suddenly, the promoter came to know that some machinery is available at maybe slightly discount at some company, which may be requiring a huge investment of say 25, 50 lakhs out of the total available working capital of say 2 crore with this company. He will suddenly write a check on the CC account and purchase the machine without thinking that tomorrow what will happen when my working capital of 50 lakhs has gone into my term capital good and I'll be out of this 50 lakhs liquidity. So next time they require the fund, so they run to the bank. Sir, I am out of fund. When we inquire why you are out of fund, because I purchased the machine. Why did you not come to bank for taking a term loan for the machine? Sir, I thought I have money lying in my account. Why should not? So they don't discriminate between a short-term funding and short-term deployment and long-term funding and long-term assets. That is one of the major reasons I've found in failure, and then investment or lack of investment in technology. So most of them keep on using same old machinery, and ultimately they get obsolete. So they are just pushed out of the market because better product with better quality come into the market and they suddenly get on the edges of the market and then exit. Another problem is dependence on few major clients. So most of the MSME I have seen that they tie their apron with the one of the large or two large players. Suddenly the large company gets another vendor who is a better quality or may provides better rates. He will just get rid of this vendor and then this guy goes sick. So this is again a problem. They become too comfortable with one or two clients, which is a concentration risk. And then lastly, non-institution borrowings and extra. So many times they borrow from the market, they borrow from money lenders who charge interest in the rate of maybe 2 to 3% per month. So they think that I'll borrow and then pay, but ultimately they are not able to pay back and get into insolvency. These are certain phases. So basically, as insolvency professionals or insolvency expert, what I teach my clients and my thing that you should capture the insolvency at the right phase. So again, whatever stage you recognize and you enter for resolution, the success depends on that stage. So if like for a sick person, like a person having a cancer, if some person is having a early start, first stage, he can get treated and get healthy within maybe 1 year of treatment. If the cancer is captured at the stage 2, maybe he'll take a treatment for 2 years or 3 years with all that chemotherapy and radiotherapy and may get treated after say 3 years with loss of health and then risk for the cancer coming back. But if you capture or detect the cancer at the stage 3 or 4, then I think there are very few treatments in the world which can really save you. They can only protect, delay your death, but they cannot treat you. Same is the stage with SME insolvency. So most of the time I have seen the problem that the promoter don't accept that I am failing, I am insolvent. So that is first stage to see that they should know that next month I am going to default on this bank dues or default on this creditor. So I should make arrangements today. So they should not be running hand to mouth every day, running to the bank to get their checks passed, then running here and there for some small funds, like delaying creditors' payment, and then their payment also getting delayed from debtors. So all these things lead to failure. So early stage turnaround can be a turnaround strategy. That is the suggestion. Now resolution mechanism available for MSMEs. So first is best ways to rectify the default. If you are dealing with a bank or an NBFC, So don't stress the default beyond 90 days. The maximum time you have available in the law or the regulation before your account becomes NPA, I think try to rectify the default by left, right, or back, borrow, or steal, but don't get default, because today default is a big risk. After the introduction of IBC, default is not a default mode, not a normal mode now. Default is a serious thing. So must appreciate, or we should tell our client, don't take default as a normal thing. Default is highly risky, which brings in risk of insolvency and risk of losing control. Second thing is restructuring. So even if you are not able to rectify the default, then be transparent with your bank. Go for a resolution through restructuring. If you have maintained good transparency, not hidden any problems with the bank, maintain good relation, then you bank will also not be inclined to continue you as a NPA. So they may restructure the account. Although in today's world, after the RBI changed the norms, the account still becomes NPA if it is restructured. But still, if the bank feels that your business is viable and feasible, they may restructure. And through restructuring, what they do is that convert the default part into kind of a term loan and give you a smaller working capital limit, and you ask you to bring in some funds so that you work in that limit, and that term loan, the default part, is converted into installments. Then third possibility is get your loan taken over by another lender. This is also possible before your account turns NPA, because in today's world, all the banks have access to credit reports, credit rating agencies, and these credit bureaus who provide a record of all the formal loans taken by a company or a borrower. Everybody has a credit score. So if you want this loan to be taken over, so what will happen? The bank where you are having problem, maybe having repeated problem for last 2 years, 3 years, still you are able to manage the account. So they may not be very happy with your operation, so they will be harsh on you. So approach some other bank, maybe at a slightly higher rate of interest, and get the loan taken over by that bank before it gets NPA. Then in the stage when the account is already NPA and the bank may be initiating the SARFAESI or a IBC action where you lose control or possession of your asset. So another possibility is go for compromise or out of court settlement. But for compromise, you need money. So what to do is, again, you can reach out to some equity investors, some angel investors, so that they can support you. And there are investors in the market. There are NBFCs, there are private equity funds who provide fund for even compromise and settlement. In return, they will seek some part of your equity or maybe some asset security, but they will provide you money. So you are out of trouble for the time being. You die another day, but at least you have survived the day. Then resolution through IBC, of course, that is, even you can go to IBC even before bank take you to IBC. You can yourself initiate the process. Only challenge is that once IBC start, you lose control. But lastly, but the best scheme I have found, the resolution through pre-packaged insolvency process, where you approach the bank with a restructuring plan, basically, and negotiate this plan with the bank, arrive at some mutual understanding on kind of haircut bank can take and required for you to sustain, and then submit the
alert from low battery.
and submit the plan. Bank in SBI, what we do is we give an in-principle approval to such plans. Once bank approves the plan, then bank will tell you and provide in detail in later slides how the pre-packaged goes. But this is the advantage of pre-package is that you retain control of the company. That is the biggest advantage you have. And you don't have to suffer the consequences of a very public insolvency process, CRP process, where an advertisement is given in the newspaper that this company has gone into insolvency and I am the IP. This advertisement has a very, very damaging effect on the SMEs, because all your customers, your buyers will feel that since this company is insolvent, so why should I buy? I should continue with business with them. Let me look for some other supplier. Even your competitors will start going around in the market telling your buyers that sir ये तो कंपनी फेल हो गई, ये तो बंद होने वाली है, ये तो बिकने वाली है, so you give orders to us, don't depend on them. This is very damaging. Then your vendors, your suppliers, they will be cautioned that they will not provide you credit, they will not provide you raw material because you are already insolvent, and they will fear that our funds will be locked up in an insolvent company. And lastly, your bankers will be panicked. They will stop your limits, your CC limit, stop your account. So these are the bad effects of CRP process under IBC, which can be avoided in pre-package because there is no public advertisement in pre-pack insolvency. You retain control, so even your employees, your vendors, they may not even know that you are undergoing a process. Banks choose a remedy depending on various factors, but I will not take this slide now. Nishiji, how much time I do have now?
Sanjeev ji, you have around half an hour now.
Okay.
Yep.
So now let me touch base on the funding of stress asset. So let's go to the sources of stress asset funding. Once the company fails, where from we can get funding? So best source is that bank loans and debt financing. So bank loans can come in by way of, say, restructuring. Under restructuring, bank can give you some additional limits. And then debt financing also through like NBFCs. There are private debt funds, like private equity funds. There are also private debt funds who provide financing. So these kind of sources are there. But obviously, once the company is stress asset, these kind of financing is difficult to get, because there is a saying in the banks that don't put good money after bad money. So once your account becomes bad, it becomes a bad money basically. Banks is put it in a risky asset, red flag the account. So getting a loan is difficult, but still you can go for a change of bank, take over. Again, that bank will be scrutinizing, taking credit report from your existing bank, all those things. So it is a source, but a difficult source, I would say. Then second option is asset-based lending. Asset-based lending involves using the distressed asset themselves as a collateral to secure loans. So what we have seen sometimes, like in case you have some unencumbered asset, like your land is not mortgaged to the bank, or you have a promoter's house, it is not provided as collateral. So you can get asset-based funding based on such asset. There is one scheme carried out in various companies called sale and lease back. What these companies do is that they have large investment in machinery and they are short of cash. So what they do, they sell this machinery to a leasing company at a whatever depreciated rate today. They sell that and they get cash in return of that. But the machine keeps on lying in the factory itself. It is still there. Machine doesn't move from there. Your staff won't even know that this machine has been sold. And from next month, you start paying installment on that lease installment. That's how asset-backed lending happens. So these are various methods you can take lending through providing assets to the lenders. Then private equity and venture capital. Again, as I said, explained earlier, there are private equity firms and venture capital firms who invest especially in distressed assets, often with the aim of turning them around and selling them at a profit. So they also provide necessary capital for acquisition and restructuring. So this is a good source of funding. But again, private equity and venture capital, they are very, very thorough about their due diligence. So you have to be very careful about your accounting practices, your corporate governance. So everything should be clean, track record should be there. So that when they come in, they do their due diligence. They don't find any skeletons, any diversion of money and all that. Because they want to rely on the honesty and the integrity of the promoter. At the same time, they may also require a controlling stake. Although they may not be coming in the controlling position to run the factory, but they prefer a minimum 50 or 51% stake in the company, so that tomorrow, in case they have to sell the company, so they are in a controlling position. Then distressed debt funds, again, these are some kind of alternate investment funds. A lot of funds have been created in the market because there is a lot of scope in distressed assets. So these funds also provide funding on case-to-case basis. So they also work like this private equity. They do a deep analysis of the happening, and they again decide whether they want to buy before insolvency process starts, or they want to come in through the insolvency process, or they want to become a resolution applicant, or maybe they want to buy in the liquidation asset stage. So these funds, and again, their model is same as the private equity. They take a controlling stake, then they provide handholding, inputs, expertise to the SME to turn around, even investment in plant and machinery, technology, marketing. And then once the business stabilizes and starts growing, they would have an exit strategy to get out within 3 to 4 years or maybe 5 years through IPO or maybe sale to another fund. So these are also good sources of funding. Government support and bailout, as we have seen in the case of like COVID. During COVID, government came out with schemes for SMEs to support them. Even the application of interest was deferred. The bank was told to stop applying interest. Even the application of default was stopped by the government. So any business which has defaulted during those 20 months of or 18 months of COVID, that will not be treated as default and can be treated as default in the court to start a CRP matter. So those kind of concessions were given, and then government comes out with relief from time to time. Asset sales and liquidation. So rather than selling assets and leasing back, sometimes there may be some non-moving, some redundant assets which are not useful currently. There may be some excess asset, like sometimes the SME has some transport equipment like some trucks or maybe few vehicles which are not optimally used and can be sourced from the market at a much lower cost. So those can be sold to generate cash. Even some machinery which is not exactly required, or maybe some entire product line. If we do have multiple product line and some product is not really delivering, moving in the market, so then entire line can be disposed of. Interim financing is often used in the bankruptcy cases, but it has also been used in the matters of some SMEs in real estate space, I would say. So some small builders who were into this construction activity, they got affected by the lack of liquidity and they were going bankrupt. So government came out with this Swami Fund, which provides funding for these kind of projects. Again, their strategy model is that they take super priority for any repayment, but then that kind of funding is available. And then mezzanine financing is like kind of bridge loans, like you. So many entities, including banks and funds, provide this. These have combined elements of debt and equity. Again, they are kind of super priority kind of thing. So once you take them, they are treated at priority. but they rank below the senior debt, but above equity. Asset securitization can also, we have discussed already, strategic alliances and joint ventures. So this is another way to get funds during distress, that bring in some partner. Maybe you can merge your MSME with another company which is having a similar kind of profile or this thing, so that, and do a share swap so that you have become a partners and make a joint ventures. So these kind of solutions are also available for SMEs to come out of this distress. And debt for equity swap, again, these are actually part of the restructuring. When banks perform restructuring, and like in prepaid or even in a normal bilateral restructuring, so bank may ask you, okay, we can write off your loan, but what do we get in return? Like in a prepaid, you go to the bank with a resolution plan which says that, sir, I can only sustain 70% of my debt. I cannot service remaining 30%. So what the bank will say, okay, we will write off, but what do I get in return? So what you can say, okay, sir, I will share some of the equity of my company. So I'll give you shares of the company, so that tomorrow, if my shares, the company's fortunes refine, and tomorrow we are doing better, you can sell those shares at a premium in the market. So that is share debt equity swap, which can also be resorted to. Alternative lenders, crowdfunding, these are new kind of funding, like started by youngsters in especially the startup space. Now this is gathering ground in the general industry SMEs also, where peer-to-peer lending. So actually the lending burden doesn't fall on one or two. So there may be 50 or 100 group of 50 or 100 people who provide like some small funding in return for some better than market returns. So now, because of this technology, these kind of processes have been formalized. Even government has come out, RBI has come out with some kind of regulations of these also. So these also are very good sources of funding, especially in the new kind of digital finance and online funding kind of thing. So crowdfunding, peer-to funding, online lending platforms. Many of the apps are coming forward. Banks are coming with apps. Even the many startups, fintechs we call them, they are coming out with the scheme for MSMEs. Only thing that you should tell your clients is that be very careful while accessing debt from these companies, as we have seen in last like 1 or 2 years, especially after COVID, a new phenomena has appeared in this digital lending space, where some of these companies took advantage of this crisis of the SMEs and individuals. So, and many of them were later found to be Chinese company, like Chinese promoter run by Indian operatives. Many of them are behind bars, some are running, and mostly Chinese have left already, but they were controlling through Hong Kong or some offshore location. But local, their agents have been caught and are behind the bar. What they did, they lend money very easily, small amounts running up to maybe 2 lakh to 2 crore. Mostly it is up to 50 lakhs, I would say. And then once they've lent, their terms and conditions are very, very hazy. So they will not tell you upfront. And then they start taking exorbitant and extortionate rate of interest. And if you don't pay on time, they will start threatening you through gundas, through like ransom calls, and then all sort of like misuse of these online portals. They will do like putting your pictures and all that, like defame you in public. So these kind of things you should keep telling your client that be aware whenever you deal with fintechs, go to some standard government approved, RBI approved sources, so that because they are regulated. If you go to any source, say they are saying that you take loan, then you are getting into trouble. Then also at the time of distress, look into your insurance proceeds, whether there is some insurance claim can be made, sale of non-core assets, even tax GST refunds can come in handy for curing your immediate liquidity problems. So I think with this, I will take few more minutes, like how banks find it difficult to fund MSMEs. Basically, as goes with my experience, I see 3-4 basic problems with MSMEs. One is that they are very lax in maintaining accounts. As I said, they maintain one account for everything. They are very lax in like information, providing information. So I have seen that many times we keep on calling our customers 3, 4, 5 times, and the stock statement will come after 3 months after the month it is due. Like for the statement of June will come in September. So these kind of information asymmetry doesn't really develop confidence in the minds of your banker or a lender. So first thing you should tell your clients is be very transparent with your banker and be very disciplined in submitting information, because banks take your transparency and bank will take you in high esteem only when you provide them information and honest information, not like hide things from them in real time. So that is one problem. I think you can, as chartered accountant, you can tell your clients to be very open and transparent with banks. Then secondly, also be transparent. Don't take debt, because there is another tendency of the SMEs to take debt left, right, and center. Wherever they can get money, they take it. That is not a healthy practice, basically. So they should learn to work within their means, because most of the MSMEs going for failure or distress I have seen is because they have taken loans from formal sources, from banks. They have taken loans from NBFCs. Then they have taken loans from money lenders. Then even their family friends. And then they are into trouble. So now these loans come to haunt you. So somebody is threatening you or phone, somebody is giving you a legal notice. So all those things, and somebody is filing an insolvency case against you. So in today's world, be transparent and be financially disciplined. You should maintain your cash flow, invest in the technology for maintaining your books of account, accounting technologies, accounting softwares. I think every SME promoter either should know how to operate a accounting software or should have a person dedicated for this, so that daily sales, purchase, profit, everything is captured in the books of account through computer. The times have gone of writing those pothis and all. So today it is much cheaper to maintain the computerized accounts, and you can have just one person, maybe if not full time, at least have a part-time person who can come in maybe 2 hours every day and fill all the entries, so that some financial discipline is maintained. So that is the reason, lack of organized, formalized bookkeeping, that is leading to a lot of problems, especially in getting funds from banks and institutions. Then again, another problem I have seen is inadequate collateral and limited equity base. So first of all, the MSMEs, they don't have their own equity. I have seen, like my friend was just explaining how we should plan for working capital also at the time of taking a term loan. So I think that's a very good suggestion what he has made. Your project report, the cost of funding should include working capital margin. What happens is, I have seen in many cases that we gave a project loan, term loan, and when the project was complete, the promoters had no money to start the project, and bank said, okay, I will give you a working capital, but you bring the margin. Where is your margin? Unless you bring the margin, I can release the working capital. So that way the completed project was hanging there without starting for some time. And that led to a lot of financial distress for this company, because during that time, the term loan installments were accruing and defaulting. So these kind of things, I think you should plan well whenever you take a loan. And also don't take loans left, right, and center. And then second, as I said earlier, be very careful about your use of funds. Whatever loans you have, if those loans are for working capital, use them purely for working capital. Don't use them for buying a car or marrying off your daughter or purchasing a property. Most of these MSMEs have gone into default because of these simple reasons that the promoter wanted to have a grand marriage for his son or daughter, so he diverted funds on that ceremony. Or he wanted to have a grand cottage somewhere, grand house to show off to his friend that I have really arrived. So he invested a lot of funds in this house. But if you want to make a house, construct a good building, why not get a housing loan from your bank? What stops you? Go to the bank, they will go through your profile and give you a good loan, because that loan is proposed for a house. It can be as long as 30 years. Whereas you are using working capital limits, which are to be repaid every year. Bank can demand that limit anytime. So these kind of basic things, I think we should be able to tell our clients that don't do these silly mistakes, which will land you in real trouble. Then this credit, giving and taking credit. So taking credit is not a problem. Extending credit is a problem. So most of these SMEs I have seen, they provide long credits to their customers, especially the large customers. What we have seen that I have a, say, company maybe having a limit of 200 crores or 500 crores, but he's not utilizing my limit. His utilization is only out of 500 crore, only utilizing 200 crores. When I approach him, their officers, boss, why you are not using these limits? Because as per your revenue, your sales, you should be using at least 80 to 90% of the limits. That is how either my assessment is failed or there is some problem with the company. Why are you not using these limits? So what they tell us in private is, hey, boss, when we free credit from the market, like my vendors, which are mostly many times SMEs, they provide me credit as long as 6 months, 8 months. So why should I bother? So I don't use my limit because you will charge me interest on that. But I'm having free credit from my SME supplier. So I would like to tell you all here that tell your clients, if providing credit, okay, you want to retain the customer, fine. But don't try to retain the customer at the cost of your health, your sickness. So don't extend too much credit, and then whenever you extend credit, try to get the funds on time, because once already you're given 3 months credit and 3 months they delay the payment. So your funds are stuck for 6 months. That's leading to a lot of sickness. So this is all I have to say. Thank you so much for listening to me patiently. I'm open
Thank
to
you
any
so much.
questions now. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sanjeev ji, for your valuable insights over the equity funding, stress asset management, and the role of CAs in SME finance. And it was a very valuable session for us. Currently, I don't think we have any questions for you, but the only request is if you could share the presentation with the committee, it would be really helpful for us to, share it with the members as well.
Sure.
I would now thank everybody, all the participants and our speakers, Sanjeev ji and Shivagwan ji, both. Thank you so much for the participation. Thank you so much for your valuable insights, Sanjeev ji. We are really thankful. I think we have all, got few knowledge about the session before the session, but after the session, I think they must have all got much more about the insights on SME finance. Really thankful, everybody. I see Ayush Gupta signing out for the session. Thank you so much, guys, for participation.